Hi everybody, my name is Michael. This is my YouTube page, Mox News. Thank you very much for tuning in. I hope you're finding something of value here. I truly do. The original Mox News page with 6,600 plus videos, and the alternate Mox News #1 page with 10,200 videos. Probably 10,000 hours work, something like that. But that's not the part, you know. I mean, it's this living history of what people thought at a moment when something was happening. I'm ready for a bong hit. I'm ready for a bong hit. You ready for a bong hit? I'm ready for a bong hit. Just have to have a bong hit. Alright, so I'm just ready for a bong hit, okay? Ready. You guys ready? And you know, today's question is pretty simple. Do we have any rights left in America, right? I mean, obviously we don't have the right to privacy. The Fourth Amendment's gone. I have a video tonight about them trying to restrict open carry laws in this state, Washington State, which has always had open carry. And now they want to restrict the open carry to where if there's 3 or more people together open and carry, that is considered a threat. And you will be charged for that now. Let's see. I have had this video about the Minneapolis police state of or cops basically mental health, and the cop in this video, I'm telling you, if this is who cops are, we're in way more trouble than I thought. I have a video about 6 Seattle police officers. 6 of them are now under investigation for taking part in the Washington, D.C. protest. Suspicious? Provocateurs? We've seen it before. I have a thing about Disney censorship. I have a video about the side effects of there's a new side effect of the vaccine, right? Of this coronavirus vaccine. There's a side effect where they're saying like your lymph nodes can swell up, which is the sign of very bad things. And what I'm seeing is, that you're no longer allowed to say things. It's like every day, America, social media, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter becomes more and more like communist China. You're not able to say that. Why are you saying things like that? You're not allowed to say that. And I'm seeing this. I don't know if you guys are seeing this, but I'm seeing it more and more. I have a video about that. I'm going to go ahead and play the open carry video while we heat up this bong, while I whip this out. So if you're ready for a bong hit like me, follow me and do exactly as you see.
If they're not actually breaking the law, this is taking law-abiding people and turning them into felons.
The bill today doesn't change that at all. It just says if 3 or more people are doing it together, it's more serious.
State lawmakers have advanced 2 bills aimed at restricting the open carry of firearms. One makes it a felony in our state for 3 or more people to display weapons in a threatening manner. Another bans openly carrying guns within 250 feet of demonstrations and at the state capitol. People with a concealed pistol license would still be allowed to carry concealed guns.
I was wondering what that guy's sign said. I saw it earlier and I wasn't sure what it said. It said, for sale, make an offer. Ha! All right, so I have a big fat dab ready to go. I came here to smoke big fat dabs and play video clips and take phone callers, and talk to phone callers. So I'd really appreciate if someone would call. The number's right there on the screen. Is 805-669-6397. Give me just a sec while I get this taken care of. And then we'll be love to have a little chat. We can talk about anything. Again, I think that the kind of the purpose of the show is to sidestep a lot of the YouTube censorship, because what happens on YouTube is you make a comment and then some algorithm or some douchebag censor says, yeah, you can't say that, and your comment disappears. On this by doing a call-in show, we're actually talking, and it's very difficult for them to censor us. So we talk about all kinds of crazy stuff. And by the way, Manny, you're a towel. So you know, you're a towel, Manny. Don't even come at me with that shit, Manny. You're a towel. Okay, so let's see. Did I play a video? I did. What video did I play? Oh, the open carry one. Again, you see these people, and every day they're restricting our freedoms more and more. Every day they're acting like somehow they're protecting the people as they take away our rights to protect ourselves. They act as if they're protecting our constitutional rights while they chip away at freedom of speech. While the Fourth Amendment, the right to privacy, doesn't even exist anymore in this country at all. As I keep telling you, they're spying on your 12-year-old daughter's cell phone. Every single thing she does. And yours too. And that includes when you're on very confidential calls, business calls, talking about this new project that you want to get started. The government is listening, and they're deciding if they want to steal your idea or not. So you know. Give it to one of their rich buddies. So you know. That's a big part of what they're listening for. They're listening to hear what kind of business it is that you're doing, what kind of businesses you want to see, what investments, all this stuff. And if they see anything there that seems like it's a good idea, they will be more than happy to grab that idea and claim it as their own. That's the government we currently have. The government that thinks you're a threat day and night. That's why we have to spy on our 12-year-old daughter, because she's a threat to us day and night. And when I say us, I don't mean we the people. I mean the politicians in Washington, D.C. The same reason that the National Guard has invoked martial law in Washington, D.C. isn't to protect the people, it's to protect the politicians solely. Hello, caller.
Hello, Michael.
What's happening, G?
Not much, man. I feel like a G. I got banned from Facebook for another 30 days for something I did 4 months ago. I didn't even remember. It's like they're out to get me. I just got out of Facebook jail, and now they put me back in. Like, oh my God, I don't even know what to do anymore. I'm a bad man.
You might as well move to communist China, as they love to say, communist China, because you don't have any more freedom here than you do there now.
Well, I was just on Facebook, and I did see a article about how China wants to make their men more manly. Well, meantime, in America, we're supposed to be sensitive little soy boys that, are politically correct and don't insult my fucking chartreuse penguin, man. It's like we're supposed to be, I don't know, man.
It's pronounced pangolin.
Penguin, yeah, that's what I said.
Pangolin.
Yeah, it's like a pergola, right? Or a very large umbrella.
Oh, yeah, it's like a armadillo.
Anyways, it didn't come from a fucking armadillo, and I don't know what's going on in America. Do we have the right to protest our government? Fuck no, apparently not, man. The propaganda just keeps coming. I keep seeing video after video after video about how terrible it was on January 6th, and no one knew they'd broken into the Capitol, and all those poor politicians were running for their lives, and it was horrible, man.
And you know what I keep seeing is that they view themselves as somehow America. The politicians view themselves as so indispensable to everyday operation of America that it's an attack on America. Because they're America. The politicians are. Fuck.
They're our rulers, man, and we're a slave class now. And if you're lucky enough that you got a business that's not shut down, cool. But they're coming for you too. It'll just be next year, when you refuse the jab. It's like we gotta have herd immunity. The only way we can accomplish that is to fucking infect your fucking hormones with gobbledygook from fucking China, pangolins.
Pangolins.
Yeah, right inside you, man. Penguin juice.
No.
Oh my God. No, we're fucked up. We're in Looney Tunes land. This is idiocracy, and fucking shut me off Facebook all you want. I don't care. 4 months ago, I posted something, and they're still going back and digging through my file like the FBI. It's like fucking.
Oh no, you're banned permanently, dude. You don't get it. After this ban, they're going to come back and say, "Oh, you didn't, you repeatedly have broken our rules, so now you're permanently banned." You don't understand. You're new to this, aren't you? To the censorship thing.
I guess so, man. I guess I'm just a fucking criminal, and I'm not worthy to be posting all my propaganda on Facebook. It's like, we're going to shut you down. They only got one guy assigned to me already. His name is Lucy, and he's fucking just on my ass. I just got out of Facebook jail 2 days ago, and I did like 2 posts, and they're digging back in my file again. It's like, wow, you did something in 2018, we're going to have to ban you again. It's like, what the fuck? It's ridiculous, but I don't miss Facebook. It's a useless platform. Something wrong with Mark Zuckerberg. I don't know who the fuck he thinks he is. And all these other people, Twitter banning Trump, and I guess it all started with Alex Jones, or maybe, who was that guy in the 1950s that was after all the communists in the 1950s, the...
McCarthy?
Not the church committee, but...
McCarthy?
Yeah, McCarthy. That's like, it all started with McCarthy, and...
It seems like it all started with 9/11, dude. We were kind of, okay talking and making things happen, and then 9/11 happened, and it's like, oh, what the fuck? We're not in control of the dialogue,
Yeah, and don't talk about the fact that the FBI had a spy house right across the street from the 2 of the 9/11 hijackers in San Diego, spying on them. Yeah, it's like...
they were in an FBI safe house up to 10 days or a week before the event happened. They were in an actual FBI safe house.
Yeah, that's kind of suspicious. Maybe. Maybe they were just eating pizza, Fuck. What a joke our country is. It's a joke. It's a really, really bad joke.
It's not our country again. It's our government. Our government is so fucked and so full of criminals that the only solution is to send every single one of the motherfuckers to jail for the rest of their lives. Really, almost regardless if they did anything or not. Just to fucking make examples of them so the next ones know they better fucking play. They better walk that line pretty fucking tight, man. Because we're watching.
Yeah, I mean, we wish that we had a free space on YouTube where you could watch whatever you want and say whatever you want, and newspapers that.
Well, Mox News has always been that space. Mox News has always let people say what they want. It's just up until actually pretty recently that the last 3 or 4 years that the censorship and the comments have become really heavy.
Yeah,
just before the Trump election, I think, actually.
Mostly concerning the COVID-19 and questioning the election. Those are the two big issues I can think of.
Well, no, before there was Israel and 9/11 and all these other
Israel,
things.
Yeah,
the anthrax attacks, the shootings that keep happening, all these different things, were being questioned. And then now it's just not okay to question anything anymore, apparently.
Yeah, we're being led astray by conspiracy theories, and they want us to just get in line, tuck our shirt in, cut our hair, get a low-paying job, and pay your taxes. And that's your life, man. You're supposed to settle for that. And I never settled for that. I never cut my hair. I didn't tuck my shirt in. I look like a bum. And I mouth off to anybody who gets in my way. So I don't, but I try to be polite. I'm considerate. I help people out. I'm not a criminal. I'm not a renegade. I'm not a terrorist. I'm not a subversive. I'm not a degenerate. I'm just a guy that believes in free speech, and I think free speech is the road towards democracy. If we can get free speech back, then all the issues that are true.
Fuck democracy. Free speech, freedom of expression is the only way this species, the human race, evolves properly. Without it, we're being suppressed from becoming all that we can be. Our freedom of expression is being suppressed not just to protect the evil criminals that are in charge and suppressing our freedom of speech, but also to suppress our entire species from becoming all that it can be. Because if it becomes all that it can be, then that's probably a threat to the people who are already all they can be with their billions of dollars.
Yeah, well, some rise by vice and some fall by virtue. Shakespeare said that, by the way. And, if you want to get ahead in today's world, you basically have to become a criminal and screw everybody possible. And if you're too generous, you can fall. But you can fall by virtue, And so, nonetheless, I'm sticking to my guns, and I'm just going to be who I am and exercise my freedom of choice, my freedom of speech, my freedom to express myself. And it's a dystopian nightmare right now on social media. I mean, Trump is permanently banned from Twitter.
They said regardless if he becomes president again or not, he's permanently banned. You know that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he can become the most powerful man in the world, and Twitter still says he can't have a voice on their platform. Which, again, the fucking government should immediately seize these companies. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, anybody that's fucking with freedom of speech and democracy. That's what this country, fuck democracy, freedom of speech. Anybody who's fucking, I say democracy because they fucked with our elections. But fuck free democracy. This is a republic, and if we can keep it. And I think that, democracy is like this hive mind shit that I'm not really very good with. We're supposed to be about freedom of expression. And again, if we have this hive mind thing, we're not being all that we can be. We're like going along with whatever the flow is instead of going, hey, look over there, and, and being everywhere and making anything happen that we can imagine. That's who we're supposed to be. But we're being repressed and suppressed and it's by design, and it's sick and disgusting, and every one of your elected officials knows that's what they're doing. They call it governing for a reason. When you govern something, you suppress it, you babysit it, you make sure it doesn't get out of line.
Well, a governor on a car is a device that prevents a car from going a certain speed. It shuts you down once you hit a certain
Exactly.
RPM. So, in my town, I used to try to wake these people up. I would throw shows with Christopher Berlin and other speakers, and the Zionists in this town, which I didn't even think there would be a lot of Zionists in my town, they would shut down my shows, breach a contract, I'll do anything. And that model, that Israel model that everyone was bitching about 5 years ago, it's like Abby Martin has to sue a southern state because they shut her down for free speech, and anyone who talks about Israel is automatically banned from this platform or that platform, or they're anti-Semitic and a conspiracy theorist. And that model, the Israel model of anti-free speech, is now all pervasive throughout all of social media. It worked with the Israel-Palestine issue. It worked with the Trump election. It works. The big danger is the COVID-19. They don't want people to find out about COVID-19. The whole WHO investigation is just a scam, like you said before, a photo op, a bunch of people who...
That's what it looked like to me. That's what it looked like to me.
Yeah, they're just trying to pin it on, there's an unknown third animal. It's like, that sounds scientific to me.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's like, no, they went 600 miles south, or I think it was south, maybe it was north, to the bat caves to collect bats and bat shit, and took it back to their laboratory and gained function over the coronavirus and said, well, let's see what we can do here. Let's insert 7 genomes in this motherfucker. And the same cell lines that came out of U.S. ARMRID, the United States Army Institute of Infectious Diseases, where I forget her name worked, where Fauci fired her ass, and they gained control over it, and then they weaponized it. And their story is, well, we're investigating this Wuhan lab, but we think it was an unknown animal. It's like, what? It's like, was it a Wookiee? I think it was a Wookiee. But no, it was a leak of a bioweapon from a level 4 lab, and we can't talk about that. And that's, to me, that's equal with a stolen election. I'm pissed over both of them. I just want the truth to come out in all matters. That's all I want.
I want to stop. I want this suppression, okay? This people, who the fuck does Zuckerberg think he is? Who the fuck does Twitter think they are? Banning fucking the president of the United States. These companies must be seized by their fucking governments. That's how we break it up. Just every government around the world sees that, their own fucking country's Twitter and shit, and then we'll just let them do what they want with it. I don't give a fuck what China does with their fucking Facebook, okay? But I care what happens in America. And if they think they can ban the most powerful man in the fucking world, then fucking they should not have the biggest soapbox in the world, should they?
Well, we're headed towards a credit system in the United States that's tied to your social profile, just like China. China already has had it for a couple years.
I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck.
In a couple more years, we're going to be like that. It's like, I got Facebook robots going back 4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
Stuff I forgot I even posted.
Yeah.
Like, I don't look at my old stuff. How the fuck am I supposed to? We're punishing you because you're a bad person.
Well, this is gonna happen again and again and again. I get fucking 4-year-old copyright strikes from people, from somebody who just used a quote from that fucking video in one of their fucking music videos, and now I'm getting a copyright strike, which has nothing to do with their shit. I'm playing a C-SPAN video. It's been fucked up for a long time, dude. But I mean, you're right. It's getting way worse, and this is why I've been talking about it forever. You know, this isn't a new subject for me, believe it or not. I was talking about this long before anybody ever thought of YouTube. So you guys know.
In ancient Greece, the wise men would gather in the public square, and they would debate political and philosophical matters, and everyone from the slaves to the butcher could come and witness the debates, and society as a whole learned from the debates. And certain types of philosophers arose. The Stoics, came up and promoted the Stoicism. I'm a pretty Stoic kind of guy. But the Sophists, there was a guy named Sophocles, and he taught a whole bunch of people what we're seeing now, which is how to win an argument using rhetoric. And that's what we see on our TV. It's just rhetoric, absent facts. You can easily pick, that's what sophistry is. It sounds like it's true, but it's really false. And that's what we have on the TV. Sophistry. And how can the public learn when free public dialogue is restricted? That's how populations have learned for eons, millennium, thousands of years. Populations have learned by philosophers and then authors. They burn the books. We're in a mass book burning right now.
Yeah.
They don't want us talking freely. They don't want a smart population. They don't want an informed population. They want
complete and total control of the dialogue, of the discussion. You're not allowed to vary this much from the discussion, from the official line. That's what they want. And they want you afraid to do so because they will take away your social media, and then your credit score will really be fucked.
And even the people that supported Trump, I'm talking about senators and congressmen that supported Trump, they're going after those people now like it's a communist invasion or something. It's like, you can't support that guy. He is anathema to America. He's the worst president in the world.
I heard him call him anarchist again today. Ain't no fucking anarchist in that goddamn protest unless they're disguised. Okay, anarchists dressed in black. Number one. Number two, they're calling him. What the fuck were they calling him? Fuck.
Anarchist, terrorists.
It was whatever, I don't know, but it's just off the charts the way they do this. It's like they just say whatever, it doesn't matter. And this is the thing, is that people buy into this. You guys call over and over again and you're like, oh, these pro-Trump supporters, and I go, no, they're Americans. You go, oh, these Black Lives Matter protests. I go, no, over and over again. You buy right immediately into it. Stop. Recognize the enemy.
They've long since mastered the science of dividing the population. That's how slavery and racism and all the civil rights violations came about. It's like the black people are the enemy. The enemy.
Okay, I know. Okay, I gotta take a break for a minute. So.
All right, take care, bro.
Okay, talk to you later.
Bye.
Okay, so this video has it shows again the. Do you have a phone caller? All right, send him up. I have a video, and it talks again about the Chinese censorship, and then it talks about I believe Facebook censorship, and then it talks. It talks Robert Kennedy Jr. was just censored off of Facebook. So it talks about Chinese censorship, then it talks about Robert Kennedy Jr. being censored, and then I have a video, I clipped them all in together. It talks about the side effects from the vaccine, COVID-19. This was a report I just saw this afternoon on the news. This new side effect, we're saying that the lymph nodes swell up, which is a very dangerous thing. It's the signs of problems. And then it goes to the last clip is about Israel and how they're going to start censoring fake news about the vaccine, right? So it goes, censorship, and it shows, Facebook is acting just like so-called communist China, who doesn't believe in freedom of expression, freedom of the press. That's what Facebook is doing. That's what Twitter is doing. And whoever gave them the power to be able to do that, I'm telling you, these companies either need to be shut the fuck down immediately or seized by the government. One or the other, because they don't have the right to be taking people's freedom of speech away. I don't give a fuck if they're a private company or not. Okay. Oh, and I have a video about Disney kicking this lady off the Mandalorian because she made some fucking comment about COVID-19 and the Holocaust. You have a phone caller? Hello, caller.
Hey, Mark, how you doing tonight?
I am good. How are you?
Doing good. I was talking with Craig, I guess during the last caller, so, if the last caller talked about it, I'm sorry. I wasn't hearing it. Craig's a cool guy. I like him a lot. I wanted to talk, and I think I heard you talk about, a clip of it, the Gina Carano?
Yeah.
The Star Wars thing?
Yeah, I have a clip of that.
That's easily the most talked about thing of the day.
Yeah, I have a clip of that.
The Jews, it all kind of relates back, I think Steve Bannon, or maybe it was fucking Veritas, or some other fucking Breitbart, or whatever. Some other dude said, that politics is downstream from culture, and this is fucking culture, And, Gina Carano, dude, God, dude, I watched a video of her just recently, live stream, maybe a couple of weeks ago. It's like, she was with some dude that was randomly recommended to me on YouTube. It was Drunk 3PO. I never heard of the guy. He's probably just one of the time it does the Star Wars nerds on fucking YouTube. And, dude, she did this fucking interview. She was charming, dude, just like a real fucking sweetheart. Like, you can see why everybody says they love her.
And she looks very smart.
Dude, she is.
Yeah.
Even she was amazing in The Mandalorian. All right, dude. People loved her in The Mandalorian. She's in both seasons.
Mm-hmm.
All right, when the fucking thing ended, they ended on a starship. Luke Skywalker saved the day. Good old Mark Hamill, love that guy. And ain't seen him since 1983, and people cried about it, But at the end of it, was left. The Mandalorian's main story was done, and it's basically the adventures of Mandalorian and friends, and they had all the friends there, and dude, what the hell are they not going to write? Is she going to just disappear? You know what I mean? What the fuck? She was the main character.
They replace actresses in the same roles all the time, and actors. I mean, all the time. They've done this for a long time. It's like they just stick somebody new in and act like we don't notice, and 3 months down the road, nobody notices. So.
Dude, it's gonna be hard, dude. She's an old UFC fighter, dude.
Oh yeah, I know. She'd kick ass. There's no doubt about that.
Dude, she'd probably kick my ass. You know what I mean? She's badass.
I would not want to mess with that in any kind of angry way. I might slap her ass, but I'm not going to put my hands around her throat.
Yeah. That'd be the last mistake you ever make, right?
Not even for fun. Not even for fun. You like it, right, baby? You like it. No. That's a trigger. That's a trigger. You're about to lose your fucking dick, buddy.
Yeah, but man, what they did to her, dude, just over social media tweets, dude. She mentions the Holocaust. She's mentioning about how people, how she, how people were hated before, the Jews were hated before,
Well,
Hitler,
look at, regardless of that, she does this. She says, I'm not sure, what did she say?
Well, she was comparing basically like her sin was comparing like the way Jews were treated in like pre-World War.
Oh, you don't know what she said?
World War II in Germany.
Okay.
And, no, I don't have the exact quote,
Okay.
but then she said she got the
Yeah.
got
Okay.
people to
Okay.
turn
So
against
she
the
can.
Jews.
Okay. She said something about the Holocaust, but the deal is right. For the last 4 years, we've been seeing people say that MAGA hats are like flying a Nazi flag. Right? I mean, it's like it's okay to say this about, it's okay for liberals to say things, about the Holocaust, about fucking Nazis, but if somebody else says it, about the wrong person or whatever, it's very double-sided, and she's being treated very unfairly. And again, it's just this sign of they call it cancel culture, but it's this sign of there's no freedom anymore. You don't have there's no constitution anymore, dude.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, she was done wrong, and they're like, oh, social media tweets, dude, Lucasfilm, and like, if you follow, like, all the nerd news, like, for the fucking big, like, all the Star Wars nerd news, dude, they had, they had the Star Wars Theory, like, that's a channel on YouTube. Guy live streamed the finale of The Mandalorian, dude. He cried like he hadn't seen Luke Skywalker since 1983.
What are you talking about? He was in like the last 2 or 3 movies. Luke Skywalker.
But that wasn't like the Luke Skywalker we remembered.
Oh, well,
When we finally saw the real... No, this is real. This is real. I mean, wait till you have to see it, like... Dude, if you see the sequels and you just realize, dude, they literally just trashed fucking Luke Skywalker. He's not who you remember. He's a fucking piece of shit, and he dies like a fart in the wind, unfortunately, and it was heartbreaking. And like a lot of us fucking were mad. It's like Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker got treated wrong in the sequels, and then with Mandalorian, he got this huge redemption. Huge redemption, dude. Enough to make a grown man cry. A grown Star Wars man cry. And they had like producers and executives. So they had this one guy actually mock the dude. Saying, I can't believe dude works at Lucasfilm. He says, I can't believe somebody cried over Star Wars.
Fucking Lucasfilm.
And they made it like his banner, the dude crying and shit, dude. And they were just making fun of him of what was like the peak Star Wars moment. Since fucking over a decade.
I used a 5-second clip from Star Wars. Lucasfilm sent me a sent me a cease and desist order from their lawyer.
Yeah. I don't know what fair use is. Is it like 30 seconds or something like that? I don't know. Once they send the lawyers,
it wasn't even on the internet. It was on fucking public access television. So they would have had to hear about it. Somebody would have to be like, "Hey, somebody's doing something wrong." And
I don't know the fucking rules for that.
Well, the scene where they finally get R2-D2 to project his little message from the Princess Leia, right? That scene?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So we took that scene, and R2-D2 projects, and it's this stripper on a strip pole, and they're all looking at it like, It's hilarious.
Yeah. That's probably that's probably why. They were letting me send you a cease and desist.
Nobody's got fucking... Nobody... Look, that's what you call parody, man. You're supposed to have the right to do that.
Yeah, but still, man, I think, they're hyper protective of that shit. They can't help it, I saw a little fucking, all the dumb Yoda memes and stuff like that, where they're highly inappropriate. You can't stop that, But back in the day, you could at least attack TV. You can at least stop a parody of that, or at least make it fucking pain in the ass. But yeah, man, dude, they do all kinds of that stuff. They just had
well, I'm gonna go ahead. I gotta get a break. I'm gonna go ahead and play that clip about the Disney censorship, so you can check it out. All right. It's good to hear from you. Thanks for calling.
All right.
All right. So I want to play the clip that he was just talking about the Disney censorship, and then I'll play the clip about Facebook and all these other people censoring. But we'll play the Disney one first. I thought it was a good clip, otherwise I wouldn't have clipped it out. And again, the guy compares how some people can say some things and other people, and they get, shut down like they're the worst people in the world, and other people say something very similar and they get hailed as, oh, this is, good person.
Facebook today gave its community an inside look at its new oversight board in a discussion about the future of content that could be considered hate speech or violate human rights. In October, Facebook launched an external oversight board to review cases and decide what content should remain on the platform. Well, today, some board members, including the former Prime Minister of Denmark, held an online conversation about the decision to ban former President Trump from Facebook and Instagram following the riot at the Capitol, and how similar decisions would be made in the future.
For the first time in history, we actually have content moderation being done outside one of the big social media platforms. And just that in itself is, I don't hesitate to call it historic. The other thing that we will be able to add is that for the first time, we have a true basis on how to discuss these issues, because you can't just take everything down. You can't leave everything up. We have to find that fine balance, and we have to do that with much more transparency and much more engagement from the users and everyone else.
Facebook has faced backlash for not doing enough to remove hateful content on its platforms. Lucasfilm says actress Gina Carano is no longer part of the Mandalorian cast. An online campaign called for her firing after she made a post comparing the current state of politics in the U.S. to the experience of Jews during the Holocaust. A spokesperson for the production company said Carano is not currently employed by Lucasfilms, and there are no plans for her to be employed there in the future. Carano deleted the post, but it was shared online, causing the hashtag Fire Gina Carano to trend earlier today. Fans of hers say that she is the victim of cancel culture. And joining me tonight to talk about cancel culture and also its effects is Stephen Kent, author and host of Beltway Banthas podcast. I appreciate your time tonight.
Happy to be here.
Well, I know this is a very basic question, but as we've been hearing more and more about cancel culture, walk us through what it is in your mind and what are the consequences?
Sure. So cancel culture is a phenomenon born mostly in the university system where a small but energized band of typically far-left activists push to ostracize someone from social or professional life based on transgressions, both real or imagined, that they've made against those people. It's something that we've seen the likes of Fox News cover ad nauseum for many, many years, and skeptics always argued that the generation of students that were sort of pushing this culture forward would grow out of it. They didn't, and we're seeing that now creep into corporate and public life in ways that scare a lot of average people.
Well, I know that you have been following this all day. You talked about it, this latest situation with Gina Carano on your podcast today. What are people saying on both sides, critical of her firing and also kind of a double-edged sword here for others on the left to also post things?
Right. So the hashtag Fire Gina Carano thing has been going on now close to a year. I mean, things really started up where activists were coming after her to be fired as far back as August of 2020. This has been going on for a very long time, and it is not a new problem that Lucasfilm is having to deal with dust kicked up by Gina Carano online. Some of it has been justified and some of it has not. On the other side of this equation, it always comes back to double standards and hypocrisy by people in power who hold people of some political viewpoints accountable and not others. It is largely true, and I believe it is the case that folks on the left in Hollywood, most of all, get away with a lot more, and particularly really bad Nazi World War II analogies. This is nothing new when it comes to actors saying, oh, what Trump is doing on the border is no different than what happened to people in Auschwitz. That's something that was tweeted out by Pedro Pascal, her co-star. He also likened MAGA hats to Nazi flags. So this stuff happens, but only some people are held accountable for it.
Well, and aren't there just some topics? I mean, the Holocaust, 6 million Jews died, off limits in any type of comparison, no matter which side of the aisle you're on, being sort of tone deaf to what happened.
It's horrific and stupid. I don't know why our politics has gotten to the point where this is the only way that we can attack our ideological opponents and try to score points against them. Like it is something that makes you look bad and make you look like you don't have any sense of perspective. But, you know, her tweet on its own was just sort of one of many things that she has said like this over the course of a year. I don't think she was fired for this tweet. She was fired for the larger picture that Disney Lucasfilm is always going to be dealing with PR crises as long as she is employed by their company. She's not going to stop. And she has made very clear that this is who she is, and she is very proud of it. And so we have to make decisions across all of our corporate structures and in our private lives about what are the standards and the kinds of relationships that we want to have to our workplaces. Are there social media codes of conduct? Are there guarantees that you can hold weird or fringe political views and still hold a job? We don't have codes across our society for that right now.
All right, we'll see if this impacts The Mandalorian and Star Wars moving forward. It has seen much newfound fame here in the last couple of years. Stephen Kent, we appreciate your time tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Staying
Purple sunsets. Okay, so I thought that was a pretty good story. Again, what I see, it's just not there isn't freedom of speech anymore. You know, if you say anything that you might think is okay for you to say, you're going to have to pay a price. I say shit on here all the time. You know, I mean, I talk about, my favorite thing to talk about is sedition. I love being seditious. But you know, it's obvious that you're not going to be able to say anything really soon. And why is that okay, right? Go ahead, do your cancel culture. You know, oh, we don't want her on The Mandalorian. Well, then don't watch The Mandalorian. Fuck you. Okay? It's not up to you who's on The Mandalorian. Fucking whiny little bitches. Get over yourself. Fucking fight for freedom instead of fucking fighting for censorship. What the fuck is wrong with you? Hello, caller.
Michael, you handsome son of a bitch. How you motherfucking doing, cocksucker?
I'm good, man. How you?
I'm doing good. Man, why are you trying to get me all riled up, bro? I'm trying to go to bed tonight.
Dude,
I gotta work tomorrow, and you gotta show me all these fucking triggering videos,
dude,
bro.
I am the stick that stirs the fire beneath the pot which is about to boil over.
Dude, it says, please hold while I take this bong hit. I'm sorry. I'm so sick of hearing about the fucking Capitol quote-unquote riot.
Too bad.
I know we've talked about it ad nauseum, but the media will just not let this go.
The way the media talks about it.
Now, look, I know I'm not saying that there definitely was some violent asshole people there that maybe need to be punished, but overwhelmingly,
the Capitol Hill police.
You know, a peaceful protest, and you know.
The Capitol Hill police seem very violent to me. The Capitol Hill police, they seem very, very violent.
Yeah, and I didn't like that, but overwhelmingly, I agree with the sentiment. You know, it was a group of protesters that don't believe the system, don't trust the voting system, don't trust anything. They're disillusioned, just like all Americans are, and they're frustrated, and they're expressing themselves, and that's all that was. And you had a couple assholes that broke into the building, and you know, I'm repeating myself. I know I've already said this 4 times. But it drives me nuts, and the media, it just over and over and over again is. And now we're all domestic terrorists, Mike. Now we're just all
I've been telling you guys are going to make all the protesters are going to be the terrorists. I told you guys. I said this again and again and again. Anybody?
Well, Michael, here's the solution. Yeah. Everyone just needs to take a hit of your bong and just learn that we are under a system that believes in divide and conquer. They're trying to divide the left and the right, and the left and the right really agree on everything. It's just that
most
we are
everything
controlled by a corporate establishment system.
Yeah,
okay? We all agree with that. Everyone knows that.
We just have to understand. I mean, it's like we don't have to come together. We just have to recognize the common enemy. We don't have to come together on all these fucking issues.
You got to know who your enemy is.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man.
You got to know who your enemy is.
Exactly.
The enemy.
Because it's not Iran like they want us. It's not China. I don't know. Sounds like a good song, though.
That is a song by, I think, a band called D.A. It's an old punk song.
I love punk rock.
You got to know who your enemy is.
Have you ever seen a movie called Decline of Western Civilization? Oh,
but that sounds like a great movie.
It's all about the punk rock scene in like the early 80s. In like LA. Is fucking awesome, dude. It's a documentary. It's not like
I'm a huge punk rock fan. I'm sure you guys know that.
Oh,
it's got
the Circle Jerks and Black Flag and all these fucking bands, man. It's really worth watching if you haven't seen it. All kinds of interviews and people spitting on each other and shit. A lot of spitting.
Crazy.
Lot of spitting.
Yeah, I don't like the spitting. I don't like that. I like the rebellion. I like the. I don't like the transaction of bodily fluids, but the rebellion, the aggression, and the getting it all out, and frustration with the system. That's what I liked about punk rock. I didn't like the bodily fluids. I didn't like the fashion either. I didn't really like the leather jackets and the mohawks.
I just love a good mosh pit. That's about it. I can do without the fucking faggy. I don't like shit having to fit in. You know what I mean? So I don't care. You guys go ahead and I'll look like each other, but that ain't me, okay?
Yeah, the guys who got to like stand out with the big patch on their fucking leather jacket and shit. Like I like Crass or fucking whatever fucking stupid band it is. Like whatever. It's like but yeah, it's all about just having a good time, bro. It's all about people getting together and being like, fuck the system. Because we're being fucked over. They don't give a fuck about us, like Tupac always said.
When I got it's Patrick.
Little people against the big guy. That's what punk rock's always been about.
Yeah, I agree.
Since the 80s, 70s, since the Ramones.
When I got to Seattle, Patrick, the first band I saw was the Sex Pistols. Giant fucking mosh pit. I lost my shoes right in the middle. Mosh pit with all these guys with fucking army boots and shit.
Ever. Like if you've ever watched that guy talk, he's just like one of the most charismatic, charming guys ever. He's so funny.
Yeah.
He's like he's an awesome guy. He's got a lot to say. Like anytime, like you gotta watch videos of YouTube of him getting like approached by reporters because he's just like fuck you, motherfucker. It's like he's so funny. He's just like the best guy ever. You gotta watch some of those. Shout out John Lennon. Awesome.
Yeah, John Lennon. Sure. John Lennon was great. They're all, as far as the punk rock goes.
John Lennon.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Okay. I misheard.
The guy from the Sex Pistols.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the guy from the Beatles.
Yeah. Well, they were both great. But yeah, John Lennon.
Yes, both are great musicians.
Yeah. Anyways, if you get a chance to see that movie, I see it playing on the Comcast guide from time to time. So I'm sure it'll be easy to find though if you want. Decline of Western Civilization. They have 3 of them. But you want to see the first one. The first one's all about punk rock. The second one goes more into glam rock. It seems like.
All right. I'm all about documentaries these days, so I'll definitely check that out.
Good job. I guarantee you'll love it.
Cool. You always got good recommendations, bro.
Yeah, did you watch that one I told you about, the Walk of Shame?
No.
No, it's okay. It's a comedy. It was
Okay,
very fucking.
sorry.
Do you have the Hulu? No?
I don't.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, no.
I'm telling. There's this show on the Hulu called Future Man, and I just think it's hilarious, dude. It's about an alien invasion.
Okay.
It's about an alien invasion and shit. It's really cool. I think They Live.
what
I
you know
think
what
They
I like,
Live.
Michael?
I think They Live is one of the greatest movies ever made. One of the greatest documentaries they ever made. Go ahead, Pete.
They Live?
Yeah, They Live. You know that movie? John. What's the director's name? John. Son of a bitch. My head.
That's an old ass one, isn't it?
Yeah, John Carpenter.
Oh yeah, the classic.
Yeah, They Live. It's
You're not the first person who has said that. One of my buddies was just telling me about that the other day.
It's a real. I mean, if you watch that, it's like there's something wrong here in the world, and if you watch that movie, it's like maybe this is what's going on, because that's what it really seems like.
Sounds like one of those old fucking Twilight Zone classic episodes.
Oh, you haven't seen They Live? Oh man, that is very much a classic.
I gotta check that
it's
out.
like a must see.
Sounds good.
That's a must see, dude.
All right. Sounds good.
Which I didn't
Alright.
say about the other movie, but that one is for sure. The They Live, and the other movie you will love it. The Decline of Western Civilization is fucking great.
That's cool.
Isn't it John Carpenter?
I've been watching like.
Did I say
What?
something else? John Carpenter?
What?
John Carpenter? Did I say something else? Isn't
Fuck.
that the
What
name?
films have I been watching? I do like John Carpenter. I like horror suspense. I'm a big Alfred Hitchcock fan, like all that shit. I don't know. I'm big on crime fiction and like true crime. You know, like I watch a lot of like crime documentaries. I've been watching like the Netflix, which I don't normally watch, but I got into the Night Stalker documentary about Richard Ramirez in the fucking 80s. That guy was fucking horrifying. And you know, not to fucking suck Netflix's dick, but that was a pretty good documentary. I couldn't stop watching.
They
it.
seem to be working hard on documentaries lately. The Netflix.
Yeah, it was actually quite good. You know, if you like murder,
Go up
crime,
on the
shit,
couch. Go up on the
it was
couch.
very, very entertaining. It was more like a horror movie than a documentary.
I can't stand that.
Netflix does their documentaries. Their documentaries are more like you know, they get very cinematic. It's kind of like you know, like a horror movie sort of.
Yeah, I can't. I don't like the. I mean, that's what South Park called it, informational murder porn. I don't like that stuff. I don't.
No, it's crazy. I like listening to how the detectives kind of piece together how they catch the guy. It's kind of crazy. You know, back in the 80s when you could really get away with shit. You can't really, you can never have a guy like that today, you know. Be impossible. Be busted so quick.
Well, what are you challenging me or something? I don't understand. All right, Pete.
You
It's
would
good.
never kill me, bro. You couldn't do it.
Don't
You know you
underestimate
love
me.
me, you cocksucker.
I'm unstable at least. Anyways, it's good to hear from you, Pete. I hope you're doing good. It sounds like you have a better attitude than you did a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, well, I think I'm going to get a new job, so it's going to be good.
Oh yeah?
Move to the good state of Massachusetts.
Really?
Yeah.
Where they got
Yeah.
legal weed, huh? I thought you just found your buddy from high school who grows the greatest herb, and you wanted to you love hanging out with them, and.
Yeah, he's great, but I can still. New England's small, bro.
Yeah, it's not that far,
Rhode
huh?
Island, Massachusetts,
Yeah.
practically the same fucking state. I'm gonna move like right over the border, you know, so it'll be nice.
So it's already a done
30
deal?
minutes away from me, bro.
Already a done deal?
What's that?
Going for sure?
No, not yet. Well, you know, the place that I'm working at, it's kind of like a toxic work environment, and like, you know,
That's
I have
too
a lot
bad.
of friends that
It's-
were working there.
It sounded
and they all-
a little stressful.
Yeah, a little bit, but you know, I had a lot of friends that work there, and now they work at other places in Massachusetts where there's a big like biotech industry.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna get a biotech job.
Nice.
Move on up.
That's awesome, dude. I'm glad. It sounds like you're really looking forward to it. I'm glad for you.
Fuck yeah, bro. Moving on up in the world.
You can making things happen. That's good. All right, bro.
Moves.
It's mostly it's good because it sounds like you're not very happy at your current job, and you're looking forward to the new one. So that's both of those things. That's a really good outcome. Most people, when they get unhappy at their job, they don't know what they're gonna do.
Yeah, well, I learned a lot. So, and I got connections. I've been very lucky, very lucky, to work with some people who know some people.
It's good to have friends, man.
So I'm lucky. Yeah, I got friends.
Good to have friends.
Very lucky. So it's all about connections, people. Make connections. That's how you succeed in life, is making connections. It's not even about being good or being skillful. It's really all about who you know.
White privilege.
So go fuck yourself. I work my ass off to get where I am.
I think you work very hard. I don't question that at all, Pete.
Yeah, you don't make connections without working hard. Let me say that. I didn't make my connections by being white. I made my connections by busting my ass and demonstrating that I am a very knowledgeable person in my field of expertise. So that's what's up, dog. That's why I make the big bucks, Michael.
It just sounds like you work very hard, like you're a kick-ass guy, take care of business, you know what I mean? So,
bro, you're goddamn right. That's what I'm all about, is take TCOB, dog, all day.
Good. I think it's a good way to go.
All right, dog. I love you. Take care.
All right, bro.
Peace and love.
I'll talk to you soon.
And praise out. Yo, fucking finger your dad, blow your mom, and praise Allah.
All right.
You know I love you.
Okay.
Come on, kisses.
Talk to you soon. All right. And this is real.
That Trump won the election. Among the suspect's possessions, this is real, a white privilege card. I want you to take a look at this. It's a fake white privilege credit card. Subtitle, Trump's everything. The card holder, scot-free, with 2 T's. Scot-free is actually spelled with 1 T, but, 2 T's on that card. That one piece of evidence, an insight into the man's state of mind, that he can get away with anything because of his skin color.
What? Yeah. Okay, so again, I have a video about China censorship, Facebook censoring Robert Kennedy Jr. I want to play that video for you here momentarily. Hello, caller.
Hey, Mike. How are you doing tonight?
I am good. How are you?
I'm good as well. I'm doing all right. I've got a sore throat, so noticed that my tonsils are swollen this morning, so I can't, whatever. But I'm doing all right, all said and done. It's snowing here. We got like 4 inches of snow this afternoon.
Dang, it just started to stick here.
Yeah, they're saying we'll probably receive around 11 inches by Saturday.
Awesome. Wow.
Yeah, so that's it only happens about once every 3 years or so, but I'll appreciate it. I like it a little bit, the snow.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was talking about that last week about, you said you can go up to the snow park to go to the snow, but, it came to the lowlands today.
The dogs are very happy about it. We went and walked for an hour and a half, and it was snowing the whole time.
Yeah, it's really beautiful with the conifer trees. The person who was not Pete, but the snippet that you showed, the last snippet that you showed about the person talking about Israel, I think it was, and people's opinions about censoring.
Oh yeah. That was about Disney censoring one of main characters from The Mandalorian.
A television program. And what did she say?
She said something about the Holocaust. She compared, I think, something at COVID to the Holocaust or something. I'm not sure exactly.
Huh. Well, that's interesting. I mean, it's kind of hyperbole,
yeah.
Right? It's exaggerating it's exaggerating first what COVID-19 is. It's kind of a bad analogy, but people are allowed to make mistakes or bad analogies all the time. It ain't nothing new, right? People, have different thoughts and opinions. But I think there's a reason why they're so sensitive about the Holocaust. It's part of like this mythology of America. The Holocaust is kind of embedded in American mythology because after World War II, we entered the war late. Like, we didn't invade Europe. The United States did not invade Europe until like D-Day, which was in 1944, in earnest, right? And with their full army, we waited until these countries like destroyed each other, and then we swooped in and grabbed all of this land, like all of Western Europe. There were American military bases in England, Italy, Britain, right?
Huh.
So the Holocaust is a way.
Well, I don't think necessarily that it was that we swooped in so much as that the American people really didn't want anything to do with the war at all until the bombing of Pearl Harbor, and then their attitude started to change as everybody started to get on board. It takes a while. It just doesn't snap, and all of a sudden you have fucking bomber factories built and shit.
But it's interesting because 20 million people died in China in World War II. More people died in China than in Russia in World War II. They were occupied by the Japanese as early as 1934.
I think it was
Manchuria was occupied by Japan.
Yeah.
And the United States had no problem with that.
Right.
When the Japanese were slaughtering Chinese people, and then they were supposedly fighting communists. We killed millions and millions of people in China by supporting Japan, by not making a big stink about Japanese genocide occurring in China. And American corporations worked with the Japanese, the Imperial Japanese, from like 1900 all the way up into the 1930s. So again, we helped build Imperial Japan, just like the United States industry, including Ford Motor Company, General Motors, Rockefeller Oil, International Technology, IT&T. They developed systems for Nazi Germany and worked back and forth. And in the 1920s, it was a great business opportunity to invest in Nazi Germany. And Americans had investments in Nazi Germany all the way up till 1942. So,
I think that China has been attacked previously to 1934 also. From what I understand, Russia and the U.S. and Japan and England and France all joined together to attack China in the early 20th century, like 1904, 1906, something like that.
Yeah, so there was a war, an internal war in the 1930s between Chiang Kai-shek, who was a nationalist, who ended up retreating to Taiwan with his nationalist army, and he was fighting Mao Zedong's army, which was for land redistribution. So what Mao Zedong was fighting for was to take the factories, take Facebook, take fucking Amazon, take their things and redistribute them amongst the people, i.e. the Communist Party. And the Americans and the Japanese are capitalists, and they're into exploiting other countries and taking their shit and using their labor, right? So they were appalled at the thought of China having autonomy and having China's people be an example to the rest of the world about what could happen. It was same with Russia, too. In 1919, after the Russian Revolution, there were 20 armies that surrounded Russia, all the way from Japan and all the way from, the eastern Germany was, and all the way up in the north. They were surrounded by foreign armies trying to overthrow their new government because they could not let an example of people doing their own shit stand. Instead, we supported the Tsar, who murdered his people indiscriminately.
Right, that's what we do. That's what we do. We see it again and again.
Yeah. So by saying that the Holocaust was the greatest evil that ever happened and it was the Germans' fault, that's they keep repeating that throughout the 1950s in movies, on television shows in the 60s and movies in the 70s. It's always in the background. The Nazis are the worst enemy America ever had. Well, they were selling those movies to soldiers who had fought in that war 10 years early. They had money. You know, you're in your 30s, you're with your wife, let's go see a movie, baby.
Right.
You go to the movie theater and you see, like, Nazis bad, like for 15 fucking years. And I'm not saying that Nazis are good either. That's not my point here. My point is that by blaming it exclusively on the Germans, it kind of overlooked American complicity in Nazi Germany. It overlooked the fact that Americans made Nazi Germany, were part of the reason why Nazi Germany is the way it is. And they ignore that by, you know, emphasizing this other thing. You know, it isn't Americans, it's Nazis that were bad, bad, bad. And the Cold War was just an excuse to rape the third world, right? There's a bogeyman out there, and it's Stalin. He's taken over the world. Well, actually, the USSR did not take over the world. They occupied Eastern Europe because they had been invaded by the Western Europeans twice in 50 years and had suffered losses of over 20, 25 million people. So they felt it was in their best interest to make certain that those governments don't allow another invading army to come into their country. The same countries that surrounded them in 1920 and threatened their very existence. So, but Russia wasn't like taking over countries in South America and in Africa and in Asia. They were basically occupying their land with a buffer between the West. In America, we couldn't deal with that. And we needed an excuse to take over countries in South America, to take over countries in Africa, to go to war in Southeast Asia and Vietnam. So we used this bogeyman that wasn't even really fucking real as a way to do our evil empire, which we've been doing since 1945.
And we continue to use the boogeyman also. I mean, every chance we get, the terrorist, the boogeyman, the evil Chinese government, the evil Iranian government, Saddam Hussein, Muammar Gaddafi.
Anybody that can defend themselves.
Yeah.
Anyone that can defend themselves, basically. Any country that has resources that can defend itself from American banks and from American military, any country that can defend themselves from our 10 carrier task force and 800 military bases scattered around the world, and in institutions like the World Trade Organization, the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, breathing down their necks, telling them to borrow money from them or else they'll overthrow their government. I mean, this is American empire, and the important dates in my brain are right after World War II, when America became the world empire, and then the assassination of John Kennedy, when we maybe could have gotten out of the Vietnam War if the dude had changed his mind, and then 9/11, when they shifted the war on terrorism. It's not a war on communism anymore, it's a war on Islam. So it's just a war on Islam. It's a war on a fucking religion that 1 out of 4 people in the world practice.
Yeah.
A big target there. And now the war is coming back home. And the war will be on dissent in the United States. And they will use the same tactics that they used to overthrow governments and murder people and dissent and suppress dissent, like you were talking about earlier. They will use the same tactics they used in El Salvador and in Nicaragua and in Guatemala and in Haiti. They taught those governments how to fucking kill people and how to suppress dissent. Those same tactics are going to be brought back home to the American public. And that's just in the nature of the beast, right? And this is just the natural...
What goes around comes around.
By the way. Yeah, this is like when I think I can make money by trading and dealing and I can do anything I want because the rules don't matter. It's just about me and how much I can get now. It's like when you get into that mindset, you end up in this kind of reality. This is the outcome of that reality. So by saying we can never talk about the Holocaust, it's basically saying we only have to talk about the crimes of what this enemy did in the past and ignore all of the crimes that our own empire has committed in the last 75 years. And it's just a way to just brush over American war crimes, like in Baghdad.
Yeah.
That's how I see it.
Right, and but it's not just that you can't talk about the Holocaust. You can't talk about the war crimes, otherwise then you're like Julian Assange, right? But it's not just you can't talk about the war crimes. You can't talk about Israel. You can't talk talk about, you can't talk about the government. You can't talk about the election.
Talk about the CIA.
If you talk about the election,
about Homeland
you're going to get
Security.
banned. You can't talk about vaccines. You can't talk about, how does this sound like America anymore? You can't talk, you can't talk, you can't talk. It sounds like, this dreaded enemy that they keep telling us, communist. They just like, I can't believe, every time I hear a congressman, instead of just saying China, they say communist China, like somehow they're saying evil China.
There are billionaires in China, people who are billionaires in China, Mike. Also, there are independent banks, that have contracts with the state banks in China. And there are wage laborers who spend their money as they please in China, although the government, the economy, and the government is overall controlled by a political party. And one of the reasons why that happened, why did China happen the way it fucking happened? It's because European countries like England, like Western countries like the United States and countries like Japan, they literally set up shop in their country and were using their laborers in the 1900s. And in the Opium War, the English were selling opium to China to basically just make money off of selling opium. They have a lot of reasons to distrust us and not want to participate in our world system.
Right.
And their civilization is 5,000 fucking years old or something like that.
I'd say 10,000 probably, but go ahead, yeah.
They have the right to develop as they wish. And in fact, if they want to develop friendly relations with the Europeans and with the Russians and with the Iranians and with the other people in the Middle East, the Saudis or the Indians, that's their prerogative.
Who are we to say anything about who they do business with?
Yeah, that's just a clear telltale that it's a rigged game, and that the people who are running the game, just like with the GameStop, incident, that was rigged against the poor investor. Although it's a little suspicious, that one. I think other institutional investors were using those subreddit threads as cover so that they could undercut their competitor, whatever, Capital or Melvin Capital or whatever. There's some evidence to indicate that there were institutional investors that were also playing the game at the same time that these populists were playing the game. And the end result of the whole GameStop thing, Mike, is a lot of people got really excited about investing in the stock market.
Playing the game.
Like gambling. I saw this Yahoo Finance article that said something like 30% of the American public bought stock in January after the GameStop, occurred. And so after the story broke, the Reddit thread, what became more popular, many people started saying, "Oh, well, I've got a little extra hidden under my mattress. I guess I'll invest it in the stock market and see if I can make money too," right? And that's what happened in the 1920s, is a lot of day traders who don't really know what they're doing are just picking stocks based on tips that they hear. Oh, yeah, I heard this on this and that, and then they invest. And what they don't realize is that's a very dangerous investment.
Well, you have to, you can't gamble more than you can afford to lose.
That is true. But in an economy that's very depressed, like the one that we're in right now, people are desperate to try and get a way out of their situation.
I think people are always desperate to try and get out of their situation.
So they're so desperate. Well, there's many more of them.
Especially when it comes to I want to get mine. I want money. Yeah. I like money. I like money.
It's real easy, right? I can use my phone and do it. It's real easy too. See, the phone's right here. I can do it too.
I only have to put $100 in, and then I can get some penny stocks and become super rich.
They really believe that, Mike. Mm-hmm. And in fact, that should not be your motivation for investing. If you want to invest, you should know a little bit about the company you're investing in and look at for more maybe a longer-term investment, unless you're just looking at it as gambling, just straight-up gambling. And if that's the way you're looking at it, then you should literally just get in your car, drive to the casino, and play, what is it, Craig? Blackjack?
Craps. He likes craps. Craig likes
The one
craps.
that gives you the best return, on your odds.
I don't think
it's
that's
21.
exactly how the stock market is, because you can walk out of this casino and not have any money. Generally, when you invest in the stock market, if the stock goes down, you still have some money,
Right. So I'll give you an example. I went and worked at the herb farm earlier this week and worked with some coworkers, right?
Uh-huh.
And they were interested in this GameStop, and I had a chance to talk with one of them at lunch. And I said, so we were talking about GameStop, and you said you jumped in. I go, what price did you jump in? Because I had read that it started at $4 and went up to like $3.60. I go, where did you jump in? And he looks at me straight in my face like he made a great decision, right? And he says, $80. And I looked at him again, because I know the stock price dropped to 50. Like, I did already know that, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just looking at him like, and he looks at me, he's like, I'm going to hold on to it. and then
Somebody missed that ship. Wow.
Yeah, and I'm like looking at him like, dude, somebody just took $30 from you, right? For however many shares you bought. And you're telling me that it still was a great idea. Yeah, I am. So he's convinced himself so much and that's what the hustle is. And you know this from like watching people on the street. That's how a hustle works, right? And it's straight up. Like, the guy will end up with like $20 before he realizes that he was fucking scammed, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think
I've seen that.
A lot of the crypto is that way, or has the potential to be that way. But it's not. What I have a friend. He was supposed to do, he's on unemployment right now, and he was supposed to do a job interview this week. And I called him and said, "Hey man, how'd the job interview go?" He's like, I told him I didn't want to do it. It was supposed to be a phone job interview. They're going to call him, and he's like, "Yeah, you know what? I made $500 on the stock market today. I don't want to do a job interview. Thanks for calling." But he does it. He does it not by insider thing. He watches the graphs of the up and down, and figures out this is going to do this, and then he goes for it. And he does look at it as a gamble.
Well, at least he's honest about what he's doing.
Yeah.
All right? If you're honest with yourself about what you're doing, well, then I guess that's fine. But recognize that more often than not, you're going to lose if you're playing the house. And the key thing about selling and buying stock is the timing, knowing exactly the moment to sell. Like my friend at work clearly did not understand that you don't buy something that's been surging from $4 at $80. Like, I don't understand it. But then he's like, well, it went up so quickly to $3.60, and then, but it's like, yeah, man, but like.
And then like 20 minutes later, it's back to 100.
Yeah, he keeps thinking that this coterie of his fellow, Wall Street bets friends are all going to surge and continue buying. And he doesn't realize that isn't going to happen. The story's gone, but it did scare them that populists supposedly could fix the market. But like I said, if it really was institutional investors using the populists as cover, then all it really was like a huge advertisement for investing in the stock market. It's like those lotto advertisements you see on television.
Mm-hmm.
This whole GameStop story was like a huge advertisement for day trading.
Yeah.
Where people are going like, man, I can do that. And like the Yahoo Finance said, 30% of the people did do that because they've been told through the media, do that, that makes money. You do that, make money. So it's like this big ad. And now you're going to have a lot of like workers who are making, $20 an hour if they're poor, and they're going to be taking a portion of their earnings and just speculatively gambling in the stock market, which I don't really see as a good thing in the long run.
It's, if you look at it, like you said, with the right angle, with the casino kind of mindset, then it's very interesting. It's a way to spend your time. It's, but it's a spin of the fucking roulette wheel, basically,
We're sitting at one of those machines, the electric slot machines.
Yeah.
Casino, similar.
Yeah. So, like I said, I don't have any money. I never have had any money. I never will have any money.
Yeah, I don't have really a lot of money.
I invest my money in chicken.
Right, you buy food. I
Yeah.
understand what you're saying. Yeah, I buy food too, and I don't have a lot of like discretionary income. Neither do my coworkers at this job. I want to note though. So like, it isn't. There are people who are literally using a little bit of discretionary income that they have and growing it into this endeavor, and even when they lose, they don't have the integrity or the self-reflection, realize what's going on. It's just bizarre. It's the weirdest thing to see. I had a couple of stories from South Dakota.
Oh, you're all digitizing, so it's really
Yeah.
getting hard to hear you. So
Can you hear me better now?
yeah.
Okay. So this was from South Dakota. I don't know if you covered this yesterday. There were two stories from South Dakota.
About
And
the
the first
weed?
one was more.
About
Yeah.
the weed.
Did you hear
We did do a story
Yeah.
yesterday about the weed. Go ahead. It was very funny
Did
too.
you?
It was very funny. If you get a chance, you might want to go back and see it. Who was the guy? The guy who was on there was a guy from Reason Magazine, and he was talking about how he just did mushrooms for the first time with his wife, and he had a really emotional experience, and it was really enlightening. It was pretty cool. I can't think of what the guy from Reason Magazine's name is. All of a sudden, I've been having.
With mushrooms? Taking psychoactive mushrooms?
Yeah,
Huh.
it was a good video.
I will listen to that. That
Yeah.
sounds like a good story. But this story from South Dakota was a bad story. There were two of them.
Oh yeah, no.
that
That
were-
it started off talking about the story that I'm talking about that I played yesterday. Started off talking about how the voters in South Dakota legalized, and then the governor is saying, "Well, that's too fucking bad. We're not going to legalize." And then then it progressed on to the drug war and how the drug war is a complete failure. And then it went to this story about having psychedelic mushrooms for the first time with his spouse.
Oh yeah. Okay. I will listen to that, Mike. But the story that I was going to mention is the one that you just mentioned, right?
Yeah.
So maybe I'll talk about my reflections on it today, which is that a circuit judge in the state capitol that was appointed by a Republican governor threw out a constitutional amendment legalizing marijuana that 54% of the voters voted for in November.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason she did it was the same reason that the Nebraskan court threw out their initiative. I think it was Nebraska or Kansas. The judge held that the measure violated the state's requirement that constitutional amendments deal with one subject, and that would have created broad changes to state government. Amendment sponsors led by U.S. Attorney Brendan Johnson said they would appeal the ruling to the state Supreme Court, just like they did in Nebraska, just like lost there as well. So for me, it's like, all right, this is like you said there's like no democracy, or it's just a sham republic. Isn't it though? I mean, this happened with the $30 car tax in Washington State, if you remember.
Yeah.
It got thrown out by the state Supreme Court because apparently it touched on too many subjects that the voter was unaware of. This happened in Nebraska. Same story. They said that the medical marijuana initiative or whatnot addressed too many different topics, and it wasn't just one subject, so it was written poorly. Even if the voters voted for it, it doesn't fucking count.
Yeah.
And now it's happening again in South Dakota. The voters voted for an initiative with 54% margin, which is, significant. It's fair. And as a consequence, it's too broad. We don't know exactly how specific it is. We want medical marijuana. That's pretty goddamn specific, isn't it?
If a presidential election was won by 54%, they would call it a landslide in a heartbeat.
Yeah. So, I mean, clearly popular support. So these tactics that these conservative advocacy groups, and they are the ones who are opposed in this instance in South Dakota and in Nebraska, they're Republicans who are opposed to legalization of marijuana are using these arcane, like, lawyer tactics, as a way to prevent the will of the people from a referendum, which is supposed to be like the most democratic thing that there is. And if you can't, I mean, I don't know how specific these bills or these referendums or initiatives have to actually be. I thought the $30 car tax one was pretty fucking specific.
Yeah.
Personally. And if you read it, it wasn't that, it was very clear.
Yeah, it was very straightforward.
But then people said, well, there was language in there that did other things, and it was misrepresented. I'm like, well, what the fuck? The voter can read the language if they want to read the language. It was there in the initiative. whether they read it or understood it or not. I mean, how do you blame that on the initiative? Well, it covered more than one subject, and it was misleading. What the fuck? Anyway, so much for democracy. Yeah.
I just don't see. I mean, like I started off saying, I have a video where I took like 4 different clips, and the first clip is about. I put them all together, and I haven't played it yet, but I've mentioned it a couple times. The first clip is about communist China censoring. Communist China censoring the BBC. BBC is no longer allowed to play. Their news channel in China, and then it goes to a clip from CNN about the first clip was from the BBC, and then it goes to a clip from CNN about Robert Kennedy Jr. being censored by Facebook because of his vaccine, because he's talking about the COVID-19 vaccine, and then it goes to a clip about a new side effect of the COVID-19 that came from our local news, and then it goes to a clip from Israeli news about how they're going to start censoring, how they're appointing a minister to start censoring fake vaccine news on the internet.
Yeah, it's an international phenomenon. It's happening all over the world, right? It's happening in France, too, where they're like not allowing people to demonstrate on the streets on certain subjects or topics. People can't gather and go to protest in the streets. And in Germany, people were protesting against COVID-19 lockdown. So there's clearly like an intention around with the governments around the world to try and promote the same story. And the people aren't buying the story, and they're using tactics to keep the people down. And I think a lot of it's tied to the economy, Mike, because they closed the world's economy down for a year or something.
Yeah.
And there were consequences of that. Like millions of people's lives were destroyed. Millions of people didn't go to the doctor. A lot of people died of other causes like suicide and, opioid overdose deaths. And not just in America, but all over the world.
And domestic violence.
And what happens when you're hungry? When you haven't had a job in 6 months and you're hungry, you start to get restless.
And your crazy wife won't stop bitching at you.
So you're going to start talking with other people about your grievances, and that is what they really do not want to happen, is they do not want people to talk about their grievances with other people. So they find ways to censor. So I think like when they shut the Parler account down, the platform for Parler, they shut it down under the pretense that they were organized right-wing extremists who were involved with the 1-6 Capitol flock to this. That was this rhetoric. But I also think Parler might have been supporting other conversations about like COVID-19 lockdown.
Yeah.
They might have had other discussions about 9/11.
Right. There was a free dialogue. There was a free dialogue of discussion going on there, and we can't have that, right, Amazon? Right, Jeff Bezos.
They'll use one to shut down everyone.
Yeah.
One conspiracy to eliminate any discussion, any political discussion. So Tim Eyman, did you play that story yesterday too about his fine?
No, I didn't play that one.
He got a 2.6. He received a $2.6 million fine from a judge in Thurston County, right here near the state capitol, and basically they banned him from any future political activities.
Wow!
Because he got like $500,000 in kickbacks over a 2-year period of time, where he had a business where he was gathering signatures, right, and then he gave that business like money, like say here's like somebody gave them money like $400,000, and then they kicked it back to him, the person who wrote the initiative. And as a 501c4 or 501c3 or whatever, he wasn't supposed to be like receiving money from these political donors. He claimed in his defense that, well, how else was I supposed to support myself, because this takes a lot of work and this is what I do, and I'm just being compensated for my work. I think there's some legitimacy to that argument, Mike, But I mean, if you're going to be out in the open, you got to play by the rules, or you are going to get busted, right? Like if you do create a situation that's in violation of the rules where you're giving yourself kickbacks, then you get penalized, whether you're a congressperson or a petition gatherer, petition signature gatherer. However, he makes a really good point. Like it's these people, and I know several of them, I have myself, who gather signatures for these initiatives and these referendums are very underpaid. And that's another barrier to getting really good initiatives put forward is you got to find lawyers to write it. You got to find a printer. You got to find hundreds of people in your state to go canvass and to go gather all these signatures. And that takes a huge amount of effort. That's a really challenging thing to do. I mean, it's a great way to like promote the democratic process, but it's hard. So I think Tim Eyman's story, and he's had more initiatives in our state put forward than probably anyone else. And I never understood why there aren't other people like Tim Eyman in Washington who just do nothing but like put forward initiatives. And obviously it's because they only get paid by rich people to do what they do. So poor people never really get their ideas put forward.
And if you speak out in the wrong way, you're going to get fined millions of dollars. Hey Chris, I gotta go. Craig's trying to get to the casino, so I don't wanna. I wanna get through my videos and stuff. It's good to talk to you. Yeah, it's good to talk to you.
Good night.
Bye. Okay, so I want to play this video about vaccine side effects. If you guys want to call, you need to call because Craig wants to go to casino, so we're running out of time here. This one, again, this starts off with a BBC video about the BBC being censored in China. You're no longer, communist China. You're no longer allowed to play BBC News in China. And then it moves to Robert Kennedy Jr. being censored off of Facebook. And then it moves to a story about a local news story about side effects, new side effect from the COVID-19 vaccine, and then it goes to a story about Israel, how they're appointing a ministry to censor all the fake news stories about vaccines. Very interesting. I thought it was pretty good editing. Let me know.
China has banned BBC World News from broadcasting on its territory. China's state media has said the BBC was responsible for what was called a slew of falsified reporting on issues including Xinjiang and China's handling of the coronavirus. They go on to say that fake news is not tolerated in China. Well, last week we broadcast detailed accounts of Muslim women who said they'd been systematically raped in so-called re-education camps in Xinjiang. The BBC said it was disappointed with the decision and in a statement said the BBC is the world's most trusted international news broadcaster and reports on stories from around the world fairly, impartially and without fear or favour.
Instagram has banned controversial anti-vaxxer Robert F. Kennedy Jr. from its platform. Facebook, which owns Instagram, says it took down Kennedy's account for repeatedly sharing debunked claims about coronavirus and vaccine safety. Kennedy's been a vocal critic of vaccines, and he's lobbied Congress to give parents exemptions from state vaccine requirements.
New tonight, the CDC has uncovered another rare side effect from the coronavirus vaccine. Maybe you've experienced it. The agency says the shot could lead to swollen lymph nodes on the side of your body where you received the injection. Doctors say, like other side effects, this one lasts for about a week before going away. Women who experience this may want to plan their mammograms differently.
For women, it's important if your mammogram is due to get your mammogram either before the vaccine or 6 weeks after the second dose of the vaccine to minimize, any confusing results on mammograms.
Doctors are also starting to ask patients if they've had the COVID vaccine before any preventative health screenings. Let's check back in with Shannon now. Depending on where you live, it looks like a beautiful winter wonderland, or you are just waiting for more snow.
Since the coronavirus vaccination rollout, the Ministry of Health has been forced to set up a new department. At its centre, a war room to battle fake news. Social media has been overflowing with ideas and opinions about the vaccinations, including conspiracies of what can happen to those who get their shots. Sammy Israel has more on the fight against fake news. Let's take a look.
Besieged by the coronavirus pandemic, the Ministry of Health has been forced to set up a new department. At its center, a war room to battle fake news. Since Israel started its inoculation campaign, social media has been overflowing with ideas and opinions about the vaccinations, including what can happen to those who get the shots and other conspiracy theories. Most of the views and opinions lack any proof and come from people with no medical background whatsoever.
The individuals that spread fake news have an interest. It could even be connected to hostile parties that would like to inflict more fear and panic into the Israeli public.
The Israeli Ministry of Health decided that ill-informed public opinion is worth curing.
We focus on people who lie to the public in a very clear way. For example, about the components of the vaccine. We do what we can to minimize the public's exposure to this disinformation, to the fake news.
And there's a new phenomenon. People sabotaging the inoculation campaign, scheduling an appointment to take the vaccine, and intentionally not showing up in the hope that as many vaccines as possible get thrown away.
Does it make any sense? This is damaging to the public's health. I complained to the police. People believed all sorts of lies. They can order substances over the internet to take, smoke, or eat with no idea what they put in their body. But from the vaccine that all the doctors took themselves, they are afraid of some chip.
Like the Ministry of Health, civilian initiatives are underway to remove fake news from social networks.
We identify hundreds of profiles. Some are real, others are fake, that spread hundreds of different lies. We successfully track them and report the lies.
The debate about vaccination started a long time ago. But now, when social media is a part of any person's life, false information can cause real damage, even beyond what is allowed under free speech.
That happened a little faster than I expected. That was a pretty good video, right? I just see it as, you know, there are side effects. There are the commentator on that local news that said that there's a new side effect. She wasn't saying there's all of a sudden a side effect. She said there's a new side effect, as in there have been other side effects too. And these people are, you know, but we have to get a whole ministry of censorship in order to make sure that you're not getting any fake news stories about vaccine side effects and blah, 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 right? Again, communist China is saying the BBC. So I mean, Facebook is looking a lot like China, right? Communist China. Facebook looking a lot like that, right? Twitter's looking a lot like that, right? I mean, if that's the way they want to do business, they should either be kicked out of the United States or seized by our government. Okay, you go do business like that in China. Okay, that's not how the biggest soapbox in the world is going to act in America. You don't have the right to censor the President of the United States. You do not have that right. And if you want to say, oh, we own the platform, well, then we'll just have to take the biggest soapbox in the world away from you because you're mismanaging it, so you don't get to own the biggest soapbox in the world anymore. At least not in the Americas, in the United States. Interesting. Very interesting. Okay, so I have more videos to play for you, or we could have a caller, but we don't have a caller. We don't have a caller. We don't have a caller. So I'm going to play videos for you because we got to get through these videos so Craig can get to casino. Okay, so I have a video here about, let's see, Biden trying to make a travel ban on travel in and out of Florida. Or I think we'll do that one. Yeah, let's do that one. Because he's crazy fucking mad with power. That's why. That's why this is an important video for you to see.
With the death toll now above 450,000, but with daily cases of COVID-19 on the decline tonight, the focus is now turning to controlling new variants of the virus spreading across the country.
Health officials in more than half of the U.S. states have reported cases of what is known as that UK variant, believed to be highly contagious. More than a third of those cases are in the state of Florida. That's according to the CDC. And the Biden administration is reportedly considering some new domestic travel restrictions that is drawing reaction tonight from Florida's governor. News Nation correspondent Brian Enton is live for us in Miami with the latest. Brian.
Marnie, the reports of travel restrictions on Florida caught many Floridians off guard and left many angry. The governor today called the reports of a travel restriction unconstitutional and said basically that it was just pure politics. When the Biden administration was asked about it, they did not flat out deny it, but said no decisions have been made. Unlike some other states, Florida has been open for business with no pandemic shutdowns, even just hosting the Super Bowl in Tampa. Thursday, Governor Ron DeSantis reacted strongly to a report by the Miami Herald that the White House is considering imposing domestic travel restrictions, including on Florida, meant to slow the spread of COVID-19.
I think it's an absurd report that they would be doing that. I think it would be unconstitutional, it would be unwise, and it would be unjust. And if you think about it, restricting the right of Americans to travel freely throughout our country while allowing illegal aliens to pour across the southern border unmolested would be a ridiculous but very damaging farce. So we will oppose it 100%. It would not be based in science. It would purely be a political attack against the people of Florida.
Florida leads the nation in known cases of the B.1.1.7 COVID variant that came from the United Kingdom. But Governor DeSantis points out hospitalizations and COVID cases in the state are trending downward. According to Johns Hopkins University, Florida is nowhere near the worst state in the country. Florida's percent positive is 8.6%, which ranks 28th out of 50 states. And Florida ranks 16th in the nation for giving 2 doses of the vaccine. When asked about the reports of travel restrictions, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki played down the conversations.
I've seen those reports. We are always considering what steps are necessary to keep the American people safe, but we are not currently in the process of no decisions have been made around additional public health measures that would delay or would change, I should say, domestic travel considerations.
Last year, Governor DeSantis imposed travel restrictions of his own on COVID hotspots like New York, New Jersey, and Louisiana, requiring visitors to quarantine. But federal restrictions, he says, would be unfair, especially for a state dependent on tourism.
We will not back down, and if anyone tries to harm Floridians or target us, we will respond very swiftly.
And after these reports came out, the White House also put out a written statement today saying that no specific decisions right now are under consideration when it comes to these kinds of travel restrictions. Live in Miami, Brian Enton, News Nation.
You guys see that? You see that? This like restricting travel, roadblocks. You can't say what you want on your own social media. You know, this type. You can't question the narrative. You can't question vaccines. You can't question, the government, the election, 9/11, shootings. Are you getting this? I don't know. Do Americans still have the right to protest their government? You tell me. Call now. Operators are standing by. The number's right there on the screen. Hello, caller.
Hey, Mike, I'll be real quick. I don't want to call twice in a show, but
It's okay. What's up?
The Israel thing about the fake news and the war room on fake news and shutting down social media. And then, see, the narrative is that all of these vaccines are harmless, legitimate, effective, and you guys just get your shots and everything will be better, and don't question science. But the truth is, that's only one type of science. And if you can't, that's what science is theories that need to be constantly readdressed and readdressed. And if all that was true, that these are harmless shots and there's no side effects, and there hasn't been 500 to 1,000 deaths, which there has been, from then why is every vaccine company indemnified against any prosecution worldwide, and yet they push the vaccines? I understand that there is a slight, 6% chance of radical side effects, especially amongst the elderly, but that's higher than the death rate of the disease itself. So obviously Big Pharma is worldwide. It's in the governments. It owns the WHO. And, it used to be only Trump that called it fake news. Now you got
Countries, China, Israel, and governments, world governments are calling fake news. It used to be only Jon Stewart that called it fake news.
So, there's been more than 500 deaths and thousands of serious side effects, including palsy and, people getting paralyzed.
It looks, it just seems untested properly anyways, so unvetted properly. So I would be very, careful about what kind of medicines you take.
Right, and I wouldn't even call that medicine. I read one story that someone got tested, which the tests are flawed anyways, but someone got tested negative for COVID-19, went and got their shot, their inoculation, and then got tested a couple days later, and they tested positive for COVID-19. So, this is not... the human race doesn't have a good track record of acting insane and responsible and open ways that you can see. They hide the truth, and then they call that fake news, and they hide all their misdeeds. We don't want to look back. We just look forward. And 5 years from now, we're not going to be able to report all the stories of the thousands and tens of thousands of deaths from we were wrong. It's just shitty. I think people should have the choice, and we shouldn't be propagandized like that, like saying this is
look at people should be able to say what they feel needs to be said, even if they're wrong. Okay, this is again, you see the actress. You saw the Disney story about the Disney actress, and they're all like, woo, if you say the wrong things, then the people are gonna go, oh, you la 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 la. It's not that the company has to shut you down, right? If you say the wrong things, everybody's gonna unsubscribe from you. They're going to say, oh, this person's evil, and they're going to all virtue fucking signal, and like, oh, if you're part of him, then you're one of those, and I don't associate with those.
I read her post, and it was just, I can't quote it verbatim, it was about a long paragraph, but it was just about how in Nazi Germany, the people started attacking the subclass, the Jews and the Gypsies, before the actual government did. And that was her point, is like the people are attacking the people. She was talking about Karens, basically, in early Nazi World War II, early Nazi Germany, like 1939. And it wasn't a bad post at all. It's just the fact that you can't mention the word Nazi or compare American population to German population in 1939.
Well, no. It depends on who you are. Again, that was pointed out in that video also, that if you're on, if you're a liberal and you say, oh well, MAGA hats is like flying a Nazi flag, that's
Right.
okay. But if you're outspoken, whatever, saying the wrong, it's not that you can't bring up Nazi Germany. It just depends on if the people that you're talking about are hated or not.
Unfortunately, the people in power, which is basically the left, they are acting in fascist ways in every area of society.
Yeah, did you see that last video? They're trying to limit travel now. There's roadblocks set up. In that last video, you could see roadblocks. They're talking about not letting people travel in and out of Florida. I mean, this is Washington D.C.'s in a military martial law lockdown. I mean, we're things are pretty fucking Looney Tunes right now for sure.
Yeah. I mean, DeSantis is the only guy I know really pushing hard on these issues, and they're going to demonize him pretty soon. You're risking everyone's life, and
I think that's kind of the idea. Is like that's what they're doing. They're showing you better fucking back off, buddy, or we're gonna fucking screw with you big time.
Yeah, we're in a heap of trouble on planet Earth right now because you can't speak the truth. If you can't speak the truth, the population won't know the truth. They won't have information on which to base a decision. Everyone has a right to make their own decision, but if you're only hearing one side, where do you think the majority of the people are going to go? And that was that lady's post, Mandalorian actress, is like, the people were attacking each other before the Nazis even took control of the society, and opened the work camps. They were, and that's where we're at. Is America is attacking each other, and the right, the Trump supporters pretty much got to hide underground because you can't organize anymore. So,
well, I don't think it's just Trump supporters. I mean, it's people who speak out against Israel. It's it's people who speak in favor of the Second Amendment. It's a lot more than and 9/11 truthers. I mean, right? You can't. I mean, it's just going every direction now.
Yeah, it's a sad state of affairs, and if I haven't got COVID-19 already, I'm going to get it the natural way, and I'm not going to inject myself with some concoction that some corporation is not responsible for. They can't be sued.
Yeah.
If you get Bell's palsy or you get crippled, they can't be sued. So don't, make... it's a sad state of affairs. That's all I got to say, bro.
Okay.
Go have a good time at the casino.
I'm not going to casino. I don't go casino.
Oh, okay.
If I'm lucky, I'll get a pizza from there, though.
Yeah, well, watch out for COVID-19. Spray.
Oh yeah. I was thinking all these people that were at the protest on January 6th that they're arresting left and right. They're not like, oh, and this one has the COVID-19 from that, being this super spreader event, where nobody's wearing masks and they're all fucking, face to face, shoulder to shoulder, as tight, like sardines in this confined space. And they're not saying, you know what I'm saying? They're not like, oh, and that one that we arrested had the COVID-19, none of that. So,
if I was a senator on that day, I think I would have stayed in the chambers and just looked at the people coming in and maybe talked to them.
I think so too. I think so. I keep thinking that if I had the opportunity to talk to people that were coming into the people's house, that I would probably want to be a man of the people.
And I really don't know what to think about Mike Pence.
Fuck Mike Pence. That's what you think about Mike Pence. Fuck Mike Pence. That's exactly what you think about Mike Pence. How many times did Mike Pence vote to fucking keep the war in Iraq going? Fuck Mike Pence.
Yeah, well, according to everything I learned, he had the to exercise his power.
All right, I got another caller.
Okay, take care, bro.
Okay, I'll talk to you later. Hello, caller. Oh, wait a minute. Hello, caller.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, my name is Steven. I'm calling from California.
I don't believe a word you've said so far. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm just calling to let you know I was born in 1997. I am 23 years
still
old.
don't believe a single word you're saying. Go ahead.
Well, I've been voting since 2016.
I can tell from the sound of your voice that every single word that you're saying is a lie. Go ahead.
Why, sir?
It's just obviously apparent. I'm very good at this. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I'm going to let you know that the language and the context of your channel, I don't agree with. Because I believe there should be updates to the Constitution. I believe that censorship to a degree is acceptable. I believe that.
And who should decide what's acceptable and what's not acceptable? Should you be able to speak out against Israel? Should you be able to question the events of 9/11?
Yeah, but we have to understand Israel has nothing to do with America. That's a whole different country.
Israel's the 51st state. What are you talking about? America gives Israel $4 million a day. What the fuck are you talking about?
There's no information or facts to that, sir.
That is not true. Barack Obama signed a fucking deal with Israel in which he gives Israel 10 years, $40 billion. Okay? $4 million a day. Every single day, 365 days a year. For the next 10 years.
Well, you have to understand that Obama did also take Bin Laden down.
I love this guy. Thanks for getting this guy on the phone. This is okay, so, are you serious?
I am, yes.
Okay, and you were how old on September 11th?
September 11th?
In 2001?
4.
You were
4
4.
years old.
Okay. And have you invested? Do you know what World Trade Center 7 is?
I do, yes.
Okay. And do you know that
And
World Trade Center 7 fell straight down into its own footprint with 2 small fires and no plane hitting it?
No, planes did hit it.
No.
Yeah, but you have to understand first, sir.
I have to understand.
No, you have to understand security is an important measure. And post 9/11, we have great security. And you.
Oh no, you have to understand. Ben Franklin said those that would trade their freedom and liberty for security will have neither. So you know.
Well, okay. Let me tell you something.
Uh-huh.
Us, as Caucasians, do we need to go back to Europe? Why are we forcing the Muslims to go back?
I don't know what Muslims are being forced to go where. What Muslims are forced to go?
No, I'm saying the prejudice views and everything against Muslim people.
I don't know. I don't know that there's a huge prejudice against Muslim people. In the communities in which I live, there's a small amount of prejudice, but it's against all different kinds of religion and stuff. And it's obviously disturbed people. But
now, are you okay with Muslims?
Of course. Look, this is freedom of religion. Which is freedom of expression. Which is freedom of speech. Of course, I'm good with freedom of speech. Are you new today? Did you just wander across this channel by accident?
No. I've been following Mox News, but I've also been supporting censorship online. I've reported Trump posts, propaganda online. I've been reporting those on Facebook. I've had a few taken down. I've been forced.
And how does that make you feel? Really powerful when you get some page taken down, like you're like this big strong person who does good by ending freedom of speech?
Well, I was speaking with the moderator before I spoke with you, and I did let him know that we should make updates to our Constitution. As a new generation, you're laughing. I know you're laughing. But as a new generation myself, I want to make updates to the Constitution, get the government involved, and we have to be cautious of what we say.
Okay.
Donald Trump
we have
is
to
not
be
a president.
cautious.
I don't have to say President Trump anymore.
Uh-huh.
President Biden, he's doing the most. He's
The most?
consistent. Consistency is key.
I don't know. Where'd you find this person, Craig? What's your name?
Stephen.
Stephen, thanks very much for calling. Listen, I think that I don't understand where you're coming from when you think we need to be censored. Obviously, you feel that the government should be spying on everyone's cell phone and everyone's internet use?
No.
Well, you know the government is doing that, right?
No, they're not.
Yes, they are. They're spying on every 12-year-old's cell phone. Every picture they take, regardless if they send it anywhere, the government takes that picture and puts it in a file with their name on it. Okay, and every private message that they send, it says it right in the NDAA. Okay, the National Defense Authorization Act, that we're all enemy combatants in this state, in this country now, which means potential terrorists, which means they can spy on all of us, which is exactly what they do.
Let me ask you something. Are you afraid? Are you hiding something?
Yes, I come out here, and every minute of every day, I spread fear. You know who's really afraid? You are, because you want to give up freedom for security. You want censorship. You don't want people to be able to speak their minds. Why? Because you're afraid they might say something dangerous. You're the one living in fear, so you know.
I believe.
No, you don't. You don't. You're the one living in fear. You're the one living in fear because you're afraid someone might say something that's dangerous. How did you get this afraid? How did you get this afraid?
Well, if you let me answer, I feel that we should, as Americans, be proper, tuck our shirts in, and just face the fact that the government is consistent.
Wait,
and we should follow that.
Is this Steve McClanahan? Is this Steve McClanahan? Are you sure? Okay, go ahead.
Yes, sir.
It is.
Well, I'm telling you that, you know what, I'm very sad.
Okay. I'm sorry to hear that. And he hung up on me. I'm thinking that's Steve McClanahan. Plus, I could hear somebody laughing in the background when I said, is this Steve McClanahan? So, you know. I think that censorship is the most dangerous thing that can possibly happen. I don't know how many, short of nuclear weapons going off, I don't know how many times I can say this. This species, the human race, will never evolve properly unless we are allowed to go in any direction that we can imagine. And right now, we are being suppressed by evil motherfuckers that are keeping us in 1920s, 1930s mentality. And they want to keep us there for as long as they can. And I think that we deserve a whole lot better than that. What? Are you talking to me? Okay. Let's see. Okay, so I'm going to play a video for you then about universal basic income. No, I have a video here about the fact that 6 Seattle police officers are being investigated for participating in the January 6th insurrection. 6 Seattle police officers being investigated for being in Washington, D.C. during the January 6th protest. And my guess is that they all know that they were at this protest, otherwise it wouldn't be being investigated at all, would they? Because they don't do that to police officers. So let's see that information. Seems kind of, like information you should have, so...
6 Seattle police officers are under investigation for being at the D.C. Capitol riot by Trump supporters on January 6th. As King 5's Tony Black reports, a Seattle City Council member now wants a public hearing to learn more.
in compliance, but this is now effectively a riot.
Wednesday, never-before-seen video of the attack on the U.S. Capitol on January 6 paints a dangerous scene. And as the fallout from that day plays out in Congress, here at home, Seattle police and the Office of Police Accountability are investigating the conduct of several officers who were there. On January 8th, Interim Chief Adrian Diaz announced 2 officers were placed on leave after social media posts showed them at the U.S. Capitol. Weeks later, 3 more officers self-reported being there. And then last week, a 6th officer self-reported. The 4 officers who did self-report are not on leave while their conduct is investigated.
If any SPD employee participated directly in assaulting the U.S. Capitol, I will terminate them.
But now there's pressure for the Seattle City Council to step in. Councilmember Kashama Sawant calling for an open and transparent hearing where the public can ask questions.
Well, the request from Councilmember Sawant would be highly unprecedented, and it would be the first time I've ever heard of something like that ever occurring.
Beth says while she agrees with transparency, there are already protocols in place.
So transparency is incredibly important, but the process is in place. It's been vetted and cleared through City Council and through the Office of Professional Accountability and through the Department of Justice. And so they need to let the process take its course.
Tony Black, King 5 News.
What we've seen in the past, when there's always been police officers in plain clothes in a protest, is that they pretty much always, like 90% of the time, wind up being provocateurs, starting shit, pushing people a direction. And so I think it's a very strange coincidence to see all these police being involved in this protest. Very strange. But I'm glad. I would really hope that this is a public hearing. If it's a public hearing, I will do my best to capture the entire thing and put it on the YouTube for you guys, because I know you'd like to see that. At least it sounds like it'd be kind of fun. Okay, so I have a couple videos left, and if you guys want to call, you're going to need to call soon, because I came here to take fat dabs and play videos, and I'm running out of videos. Oh, and take phone calls. I'm running out of videos, and I don't have any phone calls. So, now's your chance. I have a video here about universal basic income. Some cities are beginning to do this, apparently. And I think it's, and they talk about Andrew Yang using it in the beginning of his, or using it as basically the platform for his presidential campaign run and the popularity of it. So I thought it was interesting, and you guys might want to see it, and I figured should probably try and share it with you.
Employment data from the Labor Department shows the economic crisis caused by the pandemic, it's not letting up. The latest jobless report shows a combined 1.1 million workers filed for first-time claims just last week. So the number includes 793,000 who filed for first-time unemployment benefits.
Cities around the country continue to look for new ways to try to lift their residents out of poverty. The answer some are turning to is a guaranteed income, sending checks to those who need the most help. Sinclair National correspondent Christine Frizzau takes a look at the pros and cons of what some now call a universal basic income.
In Alaska, they call it the oil check, and they love it. And we're going to call this the tech check, and we're going to love it.
During the presidential campaign, it was the signature issue for one of the popular Democratic candidates, Andrew Yang and his Yang Gang, championing direct checks to Americans, funded by technology companies who would pay them for their personal data. In the midst of the coronavirus pandemic, as businesses buckled and income dried up for millions, those direct checks ended up becoming a reality, part of COVID relief legislation passed by Congress. Now, the group Mayors for a Guaranteed Income is working to make it more permanent, to quote, accelerate equity and justice. Baltimore, just the latest city to join. A guaranteed income pilot program now in the works, which in other cities have been funded with private donations.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Baltimore's Mayor Brandon Scott in a statement saying the goal is creating momentum for a federal guaranteed income program. A Pew Research poll from August found that a majority of U.S. adults, 54%, oppose the federal government providing a guaranteed income. Most critics of the plan argue that as a country, we simply can't afford it.
If you can pay for it by getting rid of programs that aren't working for the city, great. If you can't make that basic choice, then affordability is going to be a real problem.
Others warn similar programs have been tried and have failed, creating disincentives and leading to lower productivity.
This is so-called free money that people think is free, but they fail to recognize this actually means fewer opportunities down the road for themselves, their friends, and their families.
An idea with plenty of critics, but also gaining steam, with some economists saying federal stimulus money is the main reason the economy hasn't totally tanked 1 year into the pandemic. I'm Christine Frizzell reporting.
I think the Boo Bear is dreaming about playing in the snow. He loves the snow. It's snowing outside. And I think he's dreaming about playing in the snow because he's going like this. Such a cute Boo Bear. He's my beautiful baby. So I thought that was, it seemed when they talk about this on the news, when they talk about these ideas, they're like, the majority of people in the United States think that this is a really bad idea. And then they bring in these specialists who are like, oh yeah, this is horrible. This is going to hurt everybody so bad. You know, I mean, they don't have to slant this. Why don't they just inform us instead of bringing in these opinion people? And when they bring in the opinion people, they know they're going to have a negative spin on it. Why would they do that? Because, again, that's what they want you to hear. And then you wonder, how can so many people be against a monthly check or whatever? And it's because they keep hearing that it's a really, really bad thing. Hello, caller.
Hi, is this Moxie?
Yes. Who this is?
Hi, I'm Dave, and I'm calling to talk about what you were just talking about, but the call screener distracted me. Now I can't remember. I had to turn the video down, so I'm kind of out of context now.
We're talking about the UBI?
Yeah, it had to do with that, but I was watching, okay, now I remember. I was watching the news, and they're blaming the job loss on the coronavirus thing.
Uh-huh.
But it's from Biden's executive order that shut down the Keystone Pipeline. Everybody knows that we had like 1.5 million jobs lost in the last month because the Keystone Pipeline shut down. The jobs from the coronavirus scam are already lost. They're gone, long gone.
Yeah.
Well, so you're not going to see 1 million job losses from the coronavirus.
Yeah,
you may see.
I think that Biden doesn't know what the fuck he's doing, and or maybe he does, and they're just here. They're just going to lock down everything or something. I'm not sure, but it looks like bigger, stronger, faster version of the police state than I've ever seen before in this country.
Oh, it's terrifying.
Yeah.
Anybody who can see it is terrified. Masks now. What's next? Yellow stars. How about red stars for Trump supporters?
They're gonna make the mask go away. The masks are only gonna be around until about May, dude. They have to bring everything back because otherwise it's a completely failed administration, which means they can't get reelected, which means blah blah blah. So they have to turn the economy around.
Dude, they don't need your votes anymore.
I get that. I agree.
They really don't.
I agree. And they would never have my vote to start with. But I hear what you're saying. I mean, look how many times they screwed Bernie Sanders and how they fucked over Ron Paul. Ron Paul won in Iowa, and Bernie Sanders. There's no way Hillary Clinton beat Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders had this huge fucking grassroots movement, and it was like, who's Hillary? Nobody wanted Hillary. People hate Hillary.
Well, anyway, I just wanted to point out that, what would be the word, indiscretion by the media, telling you that the job losses are because of coronavirus when they're directly because Joe Biden shut down the Keystone Pipeline. put everybody out of work.
Well, I think that makes a lot of sense. I can see a lot of those jobs, a lot of job loss there for sure.
Well, I watch the markets, so I know. And that's what the markets, all the market pundits, we're reporting all these job losses, and, the government unemployment reports and stuff.
Yeah.
They were attributed to the loss of jobs in the oil industry. It's not a theory. It's what the mainstream is telling us, at least on the financial channels, because, they can't really fool people on the financial channels as easy because we operate on logic, and if they say something crazy, we're going to tune them out.
They tend to
so
sound.
They kind of know that.
They tend to sound a little bit more intelligent on the business channels. They tend to talk to people who talk about, and they talk about a lot more things than like CNN. CNN will talk about one thing all fucking day long.
Yes.
And nobody wants to hear the same fucking story all fucking day long. And, on the business channels are like, oh, this is, it's rare that they talk more than a few minutes. And when they do, it's because they got somebody important that they want to talk with,
The problem is some people take it all seriously. CNN.
People are buying. Well, people at Fox News, CNN, same fucking thing. MSNBC.
Yeah, I know.
People buy into this divide thing. Like, oh, well, these guys are on my side, and no, they're just talking to different suckers. Okay, the left, the so-called liberal media is talking to these suckers, and the so-called conservative media is talking to these suckers, and that's how it works.
Well, I don't like any mainstream media at all. I won't listen to any of it, except for I used to really love that you put up those short news clips.
Yeah.
Because that way I could get the news without having to watch all fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
And now they demonetized your channel, and I never had any money to tip you, but I can now. Do you still have PayPal thing down in your info box?
Yeah, in the text, or I can put it in the chat. In the text body of the videos, there's PayPal, and PayPal is there.
All right. Well, I'm gonna send you something. Not a lot. I don't have a whole lot of money.
It's all good, bro. I really appreciate it. I
run an eBay store, so I try to invest.
What kind of stuff do you sell on the eBay?
Military die-cast replicas.
Oh, that sounds pretty cool, dude.
Airplanes, tanks, ships.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
Helicopters, high-quality replicas.
Nice.
But not all high-priced. It's just the lower-priced ones are small.
When I get my garden going just right, when I start growing some pretty flowers, you'll have to send me a helicopter, and I'll hang it in the tent above the flowers.
That could be a decent tip. I'll write you a note and let you know who I was.
Oh, cool. Thanks very much.
You'll be able to respond. I don't know how long I'm going to have this current email.
Yeah.
Because I live in fucking Looneyland, man, and I got to get out of here.
We all live in Looneyland. We're all mad here. The Alice in Wonderland quote is, "We're all mad here."
My mom's in her 80s,
or Mad Hatter.
She wants me back home with her, and that's Oklahoma and the rural areas. So
I'm sorry.
I think that might be a good place to go. I'm 62, disabled. My left leg is bad. I can't walk more than a block.
Wow, that sucks. I love walking.
If everything implodes, that would be where I'm at would be a really bad place to be. Built in a built-up area. And
it's good to have people around that you can trust.
Super leftist people want to kill Trump supporters around here, and I'm so far right that I think Republicans are communists, and I like Trump because he said "fuck you" to the media.
Yeah, well,
all the right people hate him.
I don't like Trump. I don't like Trump at all. But you know what I like about Trump is that he's not all those other fucking professional politicians. That's for sure.
Yeah, I like Trump. I like that.
And you know what's really weird about it?
You
know what's really weird about it is that Donald Trump, born with a gold spoon in his mouth, $800,000 a year allowance from the time he's 3 years old, right? Donald Trump, at this point, seems like more of a man of the people than any of the so-called representatives in Congress.
Well, he was born rich, but he didn't become a multi-billionaire by being born rich.
Yes, he did.
He had money, but to turn the kind of money he had into the kind of money he ended up with, that's like almost a superhuman feat. As an investor, I know. And I'm a good one. I don't lose money on the market.
Right.
Man, to make those kind of multiples of your original stakes, wow. That's impressive. And so I'm impressed by the guy. I think he's hilarious and he's smart.
Yeah.
And he's best. He's all the right people hate him, and it's like the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Kind of thing,
yeah.
You know what
I mean? I keep saying.
Kind of the way I feel about him.
Like I said, it's just bizarro to me that he seems like this billionaire dude who flies around in a giant jet with a supermodel wife.
I know.
Seems like more of a man of the people than any of the so-called representatives in Congress. It's so strange.
Yeah.
How is that even possible?
It's probably because he grew up in the construction business and was close to real workers, and you know what I mean?
Maybe.
His parents made him work with, in their projects as a construction guy when he was a kid. So he worked. You could say he worked his way up through the ranks, And
you could.
And the people that were worked with him, some of them were interviewed, and they said, "Yeah, he's great to work with. Nice guy." Everybody says he's a nice guy.
I don't know that that's true, and really neither do you. But I get why so many people are attracted to him. Like I said, he seems like this approachable person, and every other single person in Congress, it seems like they have a fucking stick so far up their ass, you can see it, you can see the fucking broom handle, the broom end coming out of their butt,
The key word you said there was seems to.
Yeah.
They don't really. They know exactly what they're doing. These people aren't stupid. They're all fucking attorneys.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, but at the same time, they call themselves representatives and such, and they public servants and blah 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 on and on. When the facts are they're anything but that. And again, Donald Trump seems more of that than they do, and they're and I mean, it's just bizarro world, man. That's all. I'm not trying to pick on Trump. I do plenty of that. There
are things I don't like about him.
Look, I just want these people to be held accountable. I want a fucking somebody with a vision for the 21st, 22nd century. I want our species to progress, right? What I feel is that these people are censor, and that, just getting worse and worse and worse, and the people deserve freedom. This is the land of the free, and how dare they take a vow to the Constitution and then chip away at it every single day? It just goes on and on. And again, Donald Trump. Donald Trump could have. I know why. Donald Trump could have. Signed a pardon for Julian. Julian Assange. Donald Trump could have signed a pardon for all the people there on the January 6th. He seems like he turned his back on a lot of people. Again, I'm not trying to pick on Donald Trump. I do plenty of that. I'm just saying it really seems like he told those people we have to go and fight like hell, and then when they did that, he was like, "Oh, those people are in the wrong,"
I agree. He should have pardoned Joe, but I don't think he's been charged or convicted under American law.
Well,
you can't pardon someone who hasn't been convicted, for one thing. I mean, that's technicality. Maybe he can probably use his influence to get the charges dropped, I'm sure.
Yeah, he can commute.
He's in charge of all law enforcement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you're right.
Yeah,
you're right.
And there's so many things that he could have done. It's like like I tell people, the reason that I don't care for Donald Trump is because, again, from a very early age, he had lots of money available, and he could have done anything in the world. And he what he did was, I'm this player guy who has casinos and fucking beauty contests, and, instead of actually making good things happen for, the world. I just, if he's as smart as, people seem to think he is, he should have been able to make a lot of cool things happen, and I don't see, he made a lot of cool things happen for Donald Trump, but not for the world.
But he also made a lot of cool things happen for the people that were employed by his industries. I know that, like I used to drive a cab, and without the Red Lion Hotel, which in 1980 was $450 for their cheapest room a night, without that hotel and all the rich snobs that were there wasting their money, I wouldn't have been able to make good money driving a cab.
Right on. Well, I hear you.
People actually do contribute a lot, but people are jealous. They get jealous and envious. They don't know that all that money comes with a lot of problems right along with it. The more money you have, the more problems you have. I know that personally. I took a vow of poverty myself. That's why I just run a little eBay store.
Yeah,
I explore my hobby. I could make more money, but I don't want the pressure.
Well, you do what you love. I mean, you're right. You're doing something that you like doing, right?
Yeah, I'm also retired, so I get my Social Security retirement. So
cool.
I don't have to work if I don't want to. But I like having my hobby.
Yeah, well, yes, that's like what I do too. Is I don't make money. I've forever lived on nothing.
Yeah, I know.
But I try. But I feel like I'm doing the right thing. So it's like, that's what really matters to me.
Well, do people support you? I mean,
yeah, I haven't got any tips this week, but I got somebody kicked down $25 worth of bitcoins last week. That was pretty cool.
Do you have a Patreon?
I do have a Patreon. I get like $70 a month or something off the Patreon.
Is your Patreon linked?
Yeah, there's one in the I have it in the text body of the video.
I'm more of a Patreon type. Fucking do it for me,
Yeah.
So.
I have Patreon. I can put it in the chat. Can you see the chat?
No, if I open the chat, everything freezes up.
Okay. Well, yeah, you can see it in the text body.
Laptop, so
it's all good. You can see it in the text body.
Okay. I have you on 144p, so so I can.
That's pretty slow, man.
My computer does it. Well, what happens is it overheats. I don't have a laptop, and I don't really have a fan for it, so I have to keep the energy consumption low.
That makes sense.
Oh, what I was going to say about it being our fault.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, they say you have to wear a mask in public everywhere in Massachusetts, right?
Really? Like if you just walk down the street, walking your dog or something, you have to wear a mask?
Right.
If you're driving your car by yourself, you have to wear a mask?
No.
Okay.
It's not your car, it's in public, yeah.
Okay.
My point, okay, so they say that, but I read what authorizes them to say. I read a lot of law. That's my thing. It's my other hobby. And I've been able to fend off every assault from every person who's ever come after me legally or any other way. Landlord giving me problems. And I did it by always reading every law pertinent to whatever situation I'm going through, which isn't that hard to do. And you slowly become an expert over the years, right? And here's what the Massachusetts Constitution, and this is going to go into why I say it's our fault, right? The Massachusetts Constitution has an article that says the executive cannot perform the function of the legislature. The legislature cannot perform the function of the executive. And it further goes on, the executive may not make law, only the legislature. So when a governor puts out an executive order, the Massachusetts Constitution says, fuck you. That doesn't apply to me. I'm not in your chain of command, buddy. And, I can prove that in court in 10 minutes or less with what they, with their own law and their own, but only because I read the Constitution. See what I mean?
Yeah.
But once again, I was only reading it to find out if it was actually legal for them to give me a mask because it was relevant.
Yeah.
See what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I mean. How over time, if you actually read law, like a situation comes up, right? And you go, what's the law say? And you find out, and it's not that hard. Sometimes it takes a couple hours, and to get it all, to get all the pieces of it, and you go, oh. Hey, man, that doesn't apply to me. What the fuck are these guys pulling? Or they can't do that. It says so right here, Like, for instance, they say, I'm friends with a police officer, all right? And not close friends, right? But I know him because he comes in where I work. And where I work, a little part-time job at night, we have a lottery stage section where there's a table and chairs and you can sit there and play Keno and buy tickets and stuff like that. And it's kind of a hangout spot for the locals.
Huh.
Mostly retired, but some younger people. And Dan is a sergeant in the police department. He's not local. He works in a town down the road a ways, right? But he lives here where I live. And, what was I going to say? Where was this going? Do you remember? Oh, no. Yeah, the law. Yeah, the law. And he was telling me that he busted a guy because he had a loaded gun in his residence without a permit. He had a permit, but it was a restricted permit that requires you to keep your gun unloaded and all that crap, right?
Yeah.
And they say to make it simpler. But anyway, the Supreme Court in 2008 in Heller versus D.C. said that's unconstitutional. If somebody's lawfully allowed to own any firearm, it's unconstitutional to tell them they can't have it ready at home.
Well, it's basically just basically just a paperweight if it doesn't have bullets in it.
And 10 years later, a police officer in Massachusetts tells me that Massachusetts is still enforcing that shit. 10 years later, when the Supreme Court has deemed it unconstitutional, they just fucking ignored the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
And that kind of blew me away. I'm all, wow, really? And they also say that but you know what? If they charged me, I would be able to get it dismissed in 10 or 15 minutes because I read the law. I would say, look, in Heller versus D.C. in 2008, they ruled that this policy is unconstitutional, and you owe me some money now.
Yeah.
How much are you going to pay me? How much are you going to pay me not to sue you in federal court for illegally seizing my weapon? And the case would be over that quick because I read the law and I read the court cases relevant to it. And the reason was I wanted to arm myself in a state that hates firearms.
Yeah.
Okay. So I needed to know everything about firearms, what their law, and I read it all. It took me a long time, about a month, to tell you the truth. That was a hard job. It was a hard job because they make it hard to untie all the exemptions and expose them. You have to, like for instance, they put an exemption in. This is on their website, and this is important too. They put an exemption in. Okay, here's an exemption to owning firearms, right? And they say it's in paragraph A and B of this other statute, right? So you go over to this other statute and you look for A or B in there, and A and B doesn't say that. You're like, what's going on here? What's going on here? Oh, 3 weeks later, I figure out, I go ahead and read the whole damn thing. I'm going, they keep saying, I'm not making a mistake. This is the referred statute. Let's read the whole thing, go all the way to the bottom. And the thing was like 10 pages long. I usually don't do that. You know what I mean? Because you usually don't have to. But this time I had to. Down at the very end, the last two paragraphs were capital A and capital B.
Wow.
And that's where the exemption was. And I didn't differentiate between capitals and not capital letters when I was trying to find it. And because of that, it took me 3 weeks to find it because they put it down. They put it where Y and Z is supposed to be. That's why I couldn't find it. Isn't that hilarious?
It's bullshit. It sounds like bullshit to me. Hey, Hey, I gotta try and go. I'm trying to get Craig to the casino. I gotta try and get done by 9. I got by 10. I got a couple. No, I got a couple more videos to play, and Craig wants to go to casino by 10. So I'm trying to get everything done.
All right. One sentence. It's our fault because we think we can't understand the law, but it's written in English, and if you can write a YouTube comment, you can read the law and understand it.
I think it's our fault because we buy into the division and the fear. You know, the fear is obviously overhyped, and the division is, you know, people just can't wait to pick a side. It seems like these days, you know.
But we can only protect ourselves individually. The individual is responsible for his own rights.
I agree.
And that's important.
I agree.
Everybody else can waive their rights, but you don't have to if you know them.
Yeah, no, I think reading is very important.
So, yeah, that's all. I just wanted to call and talk to you, man. I never talked to you before. I've subscribed to you for like 10 fucking years. You know.
I hope that you'll call back and talk again soon.
Probably. You'll see. I've got to move into Oklahoma. What a weird thought.
Stay cool. You'll get through it.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. See ya. Okay. So, I have another video I want to play for you guys about police mental health. And I'm telling you, if this is the situation where this is how police are mental health-wise, we're in some serious fucking deep shit here. Because this person is a freaking basket case.
Well, new tonight, it has been ground zero of a nationwide reckoning over racial injustice and police brutality in America. The city of Minneapolis bracing for one of the most high-profile trials in years. Derek Chauvin, the former cop charged in the death of George Floyd, it's come as the city's experienced violent protest, looting, the burning of a police precinct, and debates over defunding the police. The last 9 months taking a toll on that department as well, with more than 100 officers leaving the force last year alone. In fact, one of those officers is former Lieutenant Kim Voss. She served for 37 years and retired as of this month. Lieutenant Voss penning an op-ed in the Minneapolis Star-Tribune. That's the largest newspaper in Minnesota. The op-ed was called "Why I Am One of Many Former Minneapolis Police Officers." She's joining us live tonight. Thank you so much for being with us. You didn't want to retire, but decided to. Tell us the reason for your decision.
No, Rob, you know, I put my life into being a police officer, and I was proud of what I did. But the last 9 months of my job just took a toll. And I saw in the eyes of other officers how much it's taken a toll on them, where you just start feeling like damaged goods. The stress just got to be too much.
Was it a hard decision to retire? Something you've done for almost 40 years. I imagine this was your life love, a labor of love being a cop. Did you struggle with the decision, or did the stress become so much that it felt easier?
It was a struggle, but I knew that it was needed. I had to get out to just save my own sanity and also just for my family. It took a toll on them too.
There was that famous footage of that precinct that burned during the unrest last summer in the immediate aftermath of George Floyd's death. That was your precinct. Talk a little bit about what it was like to be on the force during that time and to see a building you knew well set on fire.
It was sad. That was our home. We were there. You know, I probably spent more time in that place than I did in my own home. It was where we all spent time together. It was where we came back to de-stress after horrendous different calls that we had to go on day in and day out. And to see it burn like that and to be just feeling so helpless, you know, but it just wasn't that building. It was everything around us. All the businesses in the community that we worked so hard to protect, we failed them because they burned. So you really felt helpless. And that, I think, is one of the biggest things that took a toll on a lot of our officers emotionally was that feeling that we were helpless and and there was nothing we could do.
And that's one of the main points you're emphasizing, this idea of the toll on officers' mental health, the impact on morale within the department. That really has become a cause of yours now in your retirement. What do you want people to know?
I just want people to know that police officers are human. We're mothers, we're fathers. I'm a grandma. We are as normal as everybody else, with the exception of the horrible things that we have to see. When everybody else is running out, we're running in. It takes a special calling to be able to do that. And we need to take care of our officers. We're asking them to do a lot, but we need to take care of them.
And I don't think anyone would dispute that being a police officer is extremely hard. It was also extremely hard to watch George Floyd die on tape under an officer's knee. What do you see when you look at that video?
That's a horrible video. I am sorry that ever happened. Nobody should have to go through that. But we need to move on from that and let courts do their job now. We're not doing anybody any service by burning and looting.
Do you understand the anger that fueled that looting and burning, though?
I do. That's totally understandable.
We have a trial approaching now, March 8th. It could be another tense time there in the city. We learned tonight that Officer Chauvin was prepared to plead guilty to murder. The Attorney General of the U.S. at the time, Bill Barr, stepped in, according to new reporting tonight, and unraveled that plea deal. So now the stage has been set for a trial to begin in just a few weeks. What are your concerns as we get closer to the start of that trial?
My concerns are for the communities in the city of Minneapolis and the surrounding suburbs. My concerns are for all the police officers that will be out on the lines, and just for everybody as a whole. The healing's got to start somewhere. We really need to kind of take back control of what's going on.
Kim, thanks so much for your time tonight. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, so, I only really have one thing to say about that. She's a man, baby. Again, if this is the state of our police officers, this is not the type of person that should have a gun. This is not the type of person that should be walking around with a gun making life and death decisions. Absolutely not. And I think she's really working up the whole, oh, I'm disabled now because she retired early. Oh, if I can retire early, I think I'll take my early retirement. How awful for me. But you know what? If she's disabled because of the job, then she gets extra percentage, 10%. How much disabled are you? 10%, 20%? You get extra money. Hello, caller.
Hey, Mox, it's me, Hank Hill. I'm calling you from Arlen, Texas.
Manny?
I'm kind of nervous because Peggy and Bobby are watching on the computer in the other room.
You got a computer, Hank?
We do. Anyway, I'm calling about this nice young man who called a few minutes ago named Steven. Such a nice young man. I was thinking he could come down to Arlen and be Bobby's friend. Bobby could really use a companion for the playground. Doesn't that sound good?
It sounds a little weird to me, but...
Well, another thing, I'd like to hire a clean-cut employee to work the POS down here at Strickland Propane.
What's the POS?
Steven sounds like,
point of sale?
the point of sale, the cash register, the POS.
Okay.
Steven sounds like the closest thing to Dale that we're going to find,
Dale?
Clean-cut, tucked-in shirt into his jeans and all.
Oh, well, yeah, good luck with that.
Hell, I might even fix Luann up with Steven, my niece.
Yeah, she looks like a fun time.
We sure could use a young social justice warrior down here in Arlen, Texas. We got way too many rednecks like Boomhauer. They need to learn to be more sensitive. Well, Mike, that's about all I got. I just wanted to call and tell you that Bobby, Peggy, and me really enjoy your show. So keep up the good work and have a dab for old Hank.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
I will one of these nights, Hank. Thanks for calling. Hank Hill from Arlen, Texas. Always good to hear from Hank. Let's see. Did I run out of videos yet? I have one video left. No, I have two videos left. Ha! If you guys want to call, this is it. This is your chance, okay? 805-669-6397. It's right there on the screen. You can see it's 805 Mox News. Call now if that's what you're looking to do. Otherwise, let's watch this video.
Another move by Iran this week to ramp up its activities could help the regime in Tehran build a nuclear weapon. Sinclair National Correspondent James Rosen reports from the State Department.
The White House reaffirmed Thursday President Biden will not lift the financial sanctions his predecessor levied against Iran, nor conduct direct diplomacy with Tehran over its nuclear program unless and until the regime makes a critical move.
If Iran comes back into full compliance with its obligations under the JCPOA, the United States would do the same. So that is certainly the first step that would be required.
The Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, or JCPOA, was the formal name for the nuclear deal that Iran finalized in 2015 with the U.S. and 5 other countries. After President Trump withdrew the U.S. from the deal in 2018, Iran began enriching uranium, the fissile material used in nuclear weapons, to levels higher than the deal permits, and now has on hand more than 10 times the volume of enriched uranium permitted by the deal. This week, as first reported by the Wall Street Journal, the International Atomic Energy Agency, or IAEA, the UN agency that monitors compliance with the nuclear deal, has found the regime is again violating it by producing uranium metal, another key step in the production of nuclear weapons at a facility in the central Iranian city of Isfahan.
It's the steps it has taken to further distance itself from the JCPOA. That undergirds our concern.
Elliot Abrams served as President Trump's special envoy on Iran and previously as Deputy National Security Advisor in the Bush-Cheney White House.
We don't really know what President Biden, Jake Sullivan, Tony Blinken think about the Obama experience privately. Did they conclude what we did was perfect and we just need to replicate it? Or did they acknowledge that they had some misconceptions or made some mistakes?
Already, some Mideast allies are expressing concern the Biden administration, staffed by so many veterans of the Obama administration, will follow its lead and exalt Iran nuclear diplomacy over those alliances. Asked today why the president hasn't yet spoken to Israel's prime minister, a spokesperson said he looks forward to doing so soon. At the State Department, James Rosen.
Man, you see the photo in that video with Dick Cheney in the Oval Office? I'm telling you, I saw that. I didn't realize when I edited the video and made it, clipped it out and made it so that we could watch it on the show. I didn't realize that was in there, and I saw it, and it just like fills me with an urge to defecate. So you know. And there's still no callers, so we'll have to play another video. Unless you want to call now, you have just a moment to do so, and then I'm going to play my last video, and then we'll be out of here, and Craig can make his way to casino.
Sometimes life can be a little overwhelming. Sometimes the weight of the world can be too much to bear. Sometimes you need to stop worrying and take a deep breath. Sometimes you need cannabis. Introducing Brightside, high-quality cannabis delivered right to your door. Brightside offers an extensive menu of strains and products to meet your needs. Choose the experience you want, and we'll send you the dankest herb, the real sticky icky, some top-shelf marijuana. If you like what we send you, keep the whole jar. We'll even include some nugs for you to blaze. As part of Discovery, you'll get to try new strains and products. Side effects may include euphoria, increased appetite, uncontrollable giggles, elevated sensitivity to musical dopeness, and reduced anxiety. Tetrahydrocannabinol may also induce feelings of existential well-being and relentless optimism. With a Brightside subscription, you can get it once a month, once a week, or whenever you want, all at a price you'll like. And yes, this is a real company.
Do you know who I am? You're the wizard.
Ask your doctor if cannabis is right for you. It probably is. Keep it Brightside.
I don't see a fucking tiger. What are you talking about? A fucking tiger? There's no fucking tiger. We got Craig. We got to make that the full screen, man. Let's see. I have one more video left, and there's no callers. So And I just wanted to point out that Laura from last night, who was screaming at me about what the fuck is wrong with you, dude, who said she was going to kick down Bitcoin, she didn't kick down Bitcoins. Not the telltales on Laura. But I didn't want you guys to think that I made a big old score last night. I did not. Damn it, Tally. Okay, so let's see. I guess I'll play my last video for you. Yeah, I'm going to play the last video for you, and then we're out of here if we don't have a phone caller. So you know, this is your chance, boys and girls.
Just in the last few hours, House Democrats gave their closing arguments in the impeachment trial against former President Donald Trump. Over the last 2 days, they've presented shocking new videos and evidence that they say shows the former president is directly responsible for last month's attack on the U.S. Capitol. Chief political correspondent Scott Thuman has been monitoring it all and has the very latest from Washington, D.C.
Prosecutors on Thursday using new dramatic videos to further connect the mob to President Trump, demonstrating the rioters' desires to appease the president.
Yeah, let's tell Trump what's up. Trump would be very upset. And he'd be like, no, just say we love him. We love you, bro. No, he'll be happy. What do you mean? We're fighting for Trump.
Their own statements before, during, and after the attack make clear the attack was done for Donald Trump, at his instructions, and to fulfill his wishes.
And in an effort to prove their point, Democrats showed clips of the crowd following direct orders from the president when he finally told them it was time to go home.
Today is ours. We won the day. That's why Donald Trump has asked everybody to just go home.
And some may have felt protected in their actions based on Trump's talk over the years.
If you see somebody getting ready to throw a tomato, knock the crap out of them, would you? I will pay for the legal fees, I promise.
The wide-ranging evidence Democrats believe should be enough to convince their colleagues across the aisle.
This is so clearly not a left or right moment, but a moral moment. And what we say and do here will define the character of our country, not to mention who we are as individuals.
Some Republicans, though, questioning Democrats' motives here.
If he's not convicted and not impeached, then, of course, he'd have the opportunity to run. That, to me, raises another question, which is why are Democrats so concerned about having him on the ballot 4 years from now?
Something else prosecutors say is telling was the level of remorse displayed by then-President Trump, who waited 3 days to order flags be flown at half-staff, despite the fact that a police officer died in that attack. On Capitol Hill, I'm Scott Thuman.
Today, House Democrats gave their final arguments in the second impeachment trial of former President Trump. Over the last 2 days, they used social media videos, never-before-seen security footage, and Trump's own words to argue that he incited the deadly insurrection last month. And they argued that Mr. Trump must be held accountable, or he could do it again. KOMO political analyst Ron Dotzauer is back. All right, Ron, Democrats need 17 Republicans to join them to get a conviction. Do you think anyone has been swayed?
Well, maybe one, Cassidy potentially from Louisiana, but I think that the House management, the Democrats know that they're not going to get the vote that they're after. So I think today was much more about doing a couple of things. One, talking to the American public and trying to create some historical record about what transpired here. And then finally, sort of connecting the historical dots of this didn't happen on January 6th, but there's been a pattern of this kind of behavior. Was there what they're trying to do today, and knowing that you know, probably by this weekend they're not going to get the votes that they're looking for to get the impeachment validated.
Well, on that note, Trump's legal team will have their chance tomorrow. So given the unlikelihood of a conviction, are they merely just going through the motions at this point? And could this even explain their performance that Mr. Trump was so disappointed in earlier this week?
Yeah, and I think what they've decided that they've got the votes, right? And so less is more, and they're only talking about not using up their 16 hours, but maybe only using up some time tomorrow to do a couple of things, probably process arguments around the First Amendments and that his language should not be used as inciting the riots. And I'm understanding more recently that they may be using a video to go after the House manager speaking, so we'll see. But at the end of the day, they know they've got the votes right now. now, so they want to this will be the other interesting question, because there's a lot of pressure from the former president to talk about, quote unquote, the fraudulent election.
All right. In other words, the Democrats are, again, not going to succeed in impeaching Donald Trump. Again, wasting millions of dollars and the people's time, right? And forcing, us to get, just forcing the shit, like every channel. I go to watch the local news at noon on ABC or CBS, and instead of the local news, they're playing the stupid fucking impeachment shit. Like, I can't watch that on every other fucking channel, Which is why I try and get you guys a variety of all this other stuff. There's lots and lots and lots of stuff packed into one episode of Mox News Evening Wake and Bake. Your Wake and Bake news at 7 p.m. Right? Lots. And still no donations this week. Laura. I had so much hope. I listened to her. She said, I'm afraid. I leave my little mobile home all by itself all day long, and I'm so far away. I'm afraid. I said, you should get a dog. Maybe a recording of a dog. I said, you should get a mannequin. I listened to I said, look, the fear thing. I explain it to her in the most basic way I know how about, the past is a chemical reaction in your brain. It's not actually what's happening. It's not actually what happened even. It's just a chemical reaction in your brain. The future, all your fears from the future, they're not real. There's some kind of chemical reaction in the brain. And the fear is the biggest part of the programming. That's what they want you to be more than anything else is afraid. I spelled it out to her. And she's like, what the fuck is wrong with you, dude? Like, why are you so angry? I paid attention. Like I do with all you guys. I'm just saying. That's what you get here at Mox News. So, I gotta get out of here. Craig wants to go to the casino. So, since we're all out of videos, I played all the videos. Since we're all out of videos, and we don't have any callers, we do this every Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. Pacific time, which means we will be back here tomorrow. Same Mox time, same Mox channel. And as always, I hope we see you there because it's always better when you're here. So don't forget. And remember, one of these days this war is going to end. Stay cool till then.
No matter which mouth you feed on a two-headed snake, it still shits the same turd. But lucky for you, you have Mox News. More than 10 years. More than 60,000 videos. Mox News has been filtering the nonsense and illuminating the bullshit from your mainstream media. Turn off your TV and turn on to Mox News. For over a decade, documenting the socio-political events that have etched and carved the pathways that define today's modern mess, Mox News has been providing clarity while faithfully bringing you today's relevant stories 100% commercial-free and subscription-free. And just like Lady Liberty vows to remain free. But at this time, we're asking you for your help, your patronage, and your support to keep the lights on and the videos rolling. For less than 17 cents per day, you can become a basic subscriber, knowing that your donation is truly making a difference that will help continue bringing the news stories that make a difference in your life. Turn on, tune in, and drop a couple dimes today by clicking the link below or visiting moxnews.com and show your support at any level. From a single one-time donation or dedicated monthly subscriber, do it now in less than 2 minutes. All donations are safe, securely processed, and verified using PayPal, Visa, MasterCard, American Express, or Discover Card. As always, we're sure you'll find something of interest each and every day. This holiday season, give the gift of Mox. MoxNews.com.